streaming one of my other characters who's going to do a flyover of the Azeroth zones in the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor. Basically, this flyover is meant to fill in the gaps that were left during my Hunter 1 to 100 run. He just hit 60, so he's going to be leaving the original vanilla game and going into the Burning Crusade expansion the next time I stream, which will probably be tomorrow. But right now, I wanted to make sure that I covered all the zones that he didn't go into, so I could talk about the differences between vanilla and Cataclysm flavored WoW, so that everything would be a cohesive set. So this is kind of an off stream from the mainstream, if that makes any sense. Right now we're starting off in Silvermoon City. Silvermoon was introduced in the Burning Crusade, and it's the only city in the game, no it's not, Warspear now is another city, that you can't fly in. But people are still kind of peeved that they can't fly in this zone. It's based on the fact that the Burning Crusade material that gets you sped up into the main storyline when you leave the second of the start zones shouldn't allow you to be able to pop up into the air and go. I think it's ridiculous, because at that level you wouldn't be able to mount a flying mount anyway. I think it's just laziness on Blizzard's part, or their inability to figure out what the hell to put over in this area. One or the other. But suffice it to say, this is the first city you can't fly in. So as a result, I'm going to only be using a ground-based mount when I come out here. And I'm going to be riding south through this zone and the next zone. Now, I'm not really showing anything new in these areas. They are part of Azeroth as a whole, which is the reason why I'm riding through them. I promised I was going to do all of the Eastern Kingdoms as well as all of Kalimdor. As a result, I have to cover all the zones. So even though these zones never changed because they were never part of the main vanilla game, I'm still, in my eyes, obligated to at least do a quick ride through, look at the map, talk about the zone, you know, stuff like that. Silvermoon City's not a bad city. It's a big city. It's way too big for the amount of people who came up here. Admittedly, when the Burning Crusade came out, there were blood elves frickin' everywhere. But the city's huge. They've got a lot of your stuff in the bazaar is your profession stuff, but not jewel crafting. Jewel crafting is wedged over here in the Royal Exchange and the Walk of Elders, and somewhere in that area. I can't remember exactly where, but it's on that side. As far as I know, there's only 2 spots that have bank or auction house. That's the bazaar. I think one of these is the bank, and this is the auction house down here. The Royal Exchange, this is the I think that might be the bank, and this is the auction house, one way or the other. But things were spread out in Silvermoon kind of the way they were spread out in Orgrimmar. I don't know if Blizzard was assuming that people were going to be using this as a main city, but nowadays Silvermoon's a freaking ghost town. No one comes up here unless you're starting a Blood Elf, and let's be honest, everybody's had enough of being a Blood Elf, so you just don't see a lot of people up here. Which is how you can understand the fact that I'm standing in the middle of the main street. This is the main entrance to the city, and there's not one other player character in view. That's the telling part. Silvermoon is also now the only city that doesn't have a flight path inside the city walls. The city walls for Silvermoon, or not the city walls, but the flight path for Silvermoon has always been out here, and it seems like it's not going to move. Here it is right here. Which I think is also ridiculous. It's the only city, if you portal into it, you portal into the furthest space away. You portal in way up here, and you have to go all the way through the city and come out in order to get into the flight path. That's just ludicrous. But I didn't make the game, so whatever. Eversong Woods. Oh look, a player character. Oh my god, there actually is a person up here. And they're, well, little 37, they're beyond where they should be. There's another player character over here too. Look at that. Level 8, Blood Elf Rogue. Okay, so I stand corrected. People are still playing these zones. Interesting. Maybe just to branch out for expansion, or for achievements and such. Anyway, these Dragonhawk hatchlings, great for dropping eggs. Specifically during the Easter holiday event. If you need eggs for recipes, that's the place to get them. Come here, grind those guys, and you'll be set. Geez, another player character. What is this? Are people just deliberately trying to prove me wrong today?
Yep.
My goodness. Hey, the wifey starts sucking. The wife is, as usual, monitoring chat in case anybody actually wants to come on and complain or say anything to me. She's covering that. Alright, so we're going to head south here. This zone isn't bad. It's there's a little bit of typical Blizzard runaround as far as the quests go. You go. This is your major quest hub, Fairbreeze Village. It's the biggest quest hub in the zone, but it has you going all over this area, all over. There's quite a bit of questing over here as well. And back when hunters didn't have pets right when they started off, this was actually a pretty good spot in order to start off with a hunter, because the area that you would get the quests in order to get your first mount were in their own little section. I can't remember whether in the... no, they're not in the Ghostlands. It's definitely in the Eversong Woods. It's going to have to be down in this area here. It might be in the Ghostlands, so I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've been in this area. I have played a Blood Elf or two in the day. My wife loved this start zone to the point that she had like 3 or 4 Blood Elves at the time.
I have no comment towards that.
She had quite a few Blood Elves.
I still have no comment towards that accusation.
I'm just saying. It wasn't a bad idea showing how the rogue Forsaken army went through the Dead Scar, or created the Dead Scar actually, in their attempt to attack Silvermoon and destroyed half of Silvermoon. It wasn't a bad little piece of story, but like I say, people are tired of this area. Okay, now we're in the Ghostlands, so that'll change the map here. Zul'Aman was a raid that was introduced with the Burning Crusade. Well, this Tranquillion wasn't a bad spot. It's your main quest hub. There is a second quest hub over here in these mountains. But Tranquillion's the one that sends you all the way up here, all the way down here, and ultimately down to a wonderful questing area down here. It was very Brill-like, very Undercity-like, the area down here. A lot of good questing in this section. But again, you can only do so many things with your Blood Elves. There, I'm getting a pop from my mission garrison. Just going to clear that. I'll be having to pop those off the flashing icon here a few times while I'm doing this little diatribe. Here we are coming into Tranquillion now. Blizzard has had a good run at naming things. Tranquillion is a great name for a town. It really is. Wonderful immersive zone the Ghostlands is. A little bit like Darkshore, a little bit like what's the area to the south? I'll be flying over it in a bit. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. The one that's just south of the Goldshire area. I'll be flying into it sooner or later anyway, so it's not a big deal. But this is a little bit reminiscent of that. It's not quite as gloomy as that area, but that area was meant to be gloomy, and it works out perfectly. Feels right. Now, as I come out of the Ghostlands, you're going to find that I am into one of the Plaguelands. I believe I'm in the eastern Plaguelands when I come out. So the portal that I'm going to go through is not actually accessible to characters that are lower than, geez, I don't know now. Now it'd probably be level 40 or so, maybe. I'm not sure what level it would be, but this portal that I'm about to go through is actually not available to lesser characters. That's because the area they'd be going into would be so high level in comparison to what they were. They'd get slaughtered as soon as they exited the gate. But for the purposes of this stream, as soon as I get to the other side, I'll be able to mount a flying mount. And at that point, I'll be able to flutter my way south, covering every zone as I go. Which is the whole purpose of this particular stream. Kind of convenient. Alright, here's the gate. Looks all menacing, isn't really. And there we go. We've now gone from Burning Crusade backwards into Vanilla WoW. And we are in fact in the Eastern Plaguelands. So let's get ourselves a better mount. Let's start off on the flying carpet. Here we go. Now we're into the main zone. Now the first thing you're going to see is this. This is Archaeology, an Archaeology zone. Archaeology was introduced with the, oh geez. Was it introduced in Cataclysm or Pandaria? Either way, I didn't come back until the beginning of Pandaria. I left at the end of Lich King, or near the end of Lich King. Didn't come back until Pandaria. So I skipped Cataclysm, but did do the content when I got back. One of the biggest differences in this zone was the introduction of the Ebb and Hold, which was for the Lich King expansion, and it is the start zone, if you can call it that, for Death Knights, who everybody thinks is a waste of time, because Death Knights are usually newbies who have never played all the way up to the level that you have to start a Death Knight off at, which is 55. Back in the day, I think you had to have a character that was level 60 in order to actually make yourself a Death Knight. But that means that you never had to play any of the Burning Crusade, you never had to get any of the real raiding skills or dungeon skills that were taught in the Burning Crusade expansion, which are now useless as well, in order to play a Death Knight. And so Death Knight are generally regarded as a lesser character. I have a Death Knight who's currently in the Draenor expansion, Warlords of Draenor, and he is closing in on level cap. And I play him the way he's supposed to be played because I have played multiple tanks, and I'm playing this guy as a DPS. But I'm when I go into an instance, I'm not grabbing characters and hauling them to me and getting aggro and dying and wiping the party, because I know how to calm my instincts on, you know, doing the cool stuff. So DPS, I'm playing my Death Knight DPS as more of a support character as far as damage goes. But regardless, as for the map here, some things have changed. The Maristead is no longer of any real use. There used to be a series of quests there, heroic quests, because this zone used to be level cap. This used to be a zone that you'd go to for 55 to 60. In fact, I think it was only 58 to 60 you'd actually play here. I capped right over here at the Quilithian Lodge. Let's call it the Quilithian Lodge. I actually capped 60 right outside that lodge with the aid of a couple of Horde characters who happened to wear down a couple of creatures for me, let me get final shot, and that capped me. And pretty soon after capping, like a day, I left the game until Burning Crusade came out, simply because I didn't like doing parties, I didn't like doing dungeons. I had no idea what to do in those. I was playing a tank by the name of Gutrend. He's my main. He still is my main character. And I just didn't get into playing that stuff. Another big change that's happened is these water areas used to be just pits that you'd have to go into for questing. And this area over here, the ruins of the Scarlet Enclave, up through this area. All of that didn't actually exist as anything. It was an empty zone. There were buildings, but there was no questing in that zone at all. The only flight path originally was the Light's Hope Chapel, and from there you had to go out and trek out this way, and go into the areas that you see here on the map. Again, these areas were not water filled. We're going to head down to those areas right now. Yeah, I'm heading right to So, another change that's happened, probably in Cataclysm, to make the zone more accessible, is they've added a caravan quest that starts you off at the entrance to the zone from the western Plaguelands and carries you all the way around to each tower to do questing and to ultimately get yourself an achievement. Now this lake did exist back in the day, but all these other little watery spots were actually pits. Big pits that you had to go down into to do questing. All those quests are gone now. The Infected Scar was a pit. It was like a rend across the earth. I don't understand how they're all of a sudden filled with water, given the fact that there is no other big change to this zone that would suggest that water came ripping across this area during Cataclysm. But suffice it to say, they're all filled with water now. So there's that. We're going to head over here. They've changed the quests, obviously, to suit the new caravan quests. The actual quests themselves have changed in this zone. There was a lot of quests coming out of the Maristead, as I already mentioned. I'm going to be flying over the Maristead soon. It's this building right on top of this hill right here. There we go. And this was a very tough zone to get into. The Maristead stuff had you going after named elites, things like that. Now there isn't even a guy in there. There's no one inside. There are quests here. The hounds that he used to own are still here, the Blight Hounds. But the questing has changed completely in this zone. I'm not going to say it's for the better because I personally don't believe it is. And directly ahead of me on the island you can see part of Scholomance. Another big change from the original vanilla game. There used to be a boss that, once summoned, would fly out here and come in and land in Scholomance, literally on this landing, right here. And you can see into the instance, kinda, sorta. He would land here and they'd have to fight him. And then, oh, I can fly right in here, look at that, isn't that cool? Technically I'm in Scholomance right now. And this area right here used to be a gate. Yes. And you can see from inside the zone. So you'd come in here, I didn't even know that you could fly in here until right now. So you'd come down here, and you had to do something with one of these crypts, and then a big gargoyle-y guy would come flying in, land here, and he's the boss you had to fight. That's been removed. A lot of things have been removed from this instance. Scholomance used to be about 5 times larger than it is now. It really sucks. And the attunement for Scholomance was a pain in the ass. Lots of quests in the Plaguelands had to be done, revolving the plague itself, before being able to get into the entrance of the ruins here and open the door that you'll see right here in just a second. This is the door that you'd have to have a key for. Now, it just opens. No big. There's the entrance. So, yeah, now there's nothing to do there. There's no reason to do the attunements, so they took out the attunements. They also took out key rings. There used to be a little icon. Was it here or was it here? One or the other. There was an icon, I think it was over here, for your key ring. And your key ring gave you access to all the keys that you had for attuning yourself to go into different raids and zones. You had to be attuned to get into the Black Temple, the final raid of Burning Crusade. You had to be attuned to get into the Arcatraz, the final dungeon that you could access up in the Tempest Keep area. You had to be attuned to access, I think, the Shadow Labs in Auchindoun, in the ruins of Auchindoun. You had to be attuned for that. You had to be attuned to Scholomance. That was going back to vanilla. You had to do a whole series of quests. Let's take a look at the map here. You had to do a whole series of quests going from the Bulwark through the fields, through Underhaul, through the fields, through the Writhing Haunt, through Garen's Withering, the Meanders. I mean, you had to do a whole series of quests through there. Now all those quests are gone. Well, they're not completely gone. There's one series of quests that's kind of there, where you have to go and stop one cauldron from being released with the plague. But they took out the majority of the quest line, and instead they added some more flight paths. There's a new flight path here, and there's a flight path down Underhaul. Underhaul used to be a real titchy area. It really did.
Yeah, it did.
And leading down into the Alterac Mountains instead of the Hillsbrad Foothills, because the Alterac Mountains don't exist anymore. The Chillwind Camp was the Alliance, and still is Alliance, and the Bulwark, if I'm not mistaken, was the only flight path in the zone. I could be wrong about that, but it might be that was the only flight path in the zone. Hearthglen, again, used to be a bunch of buildings with no quests. You had to have a quest took you up to this tower here, but there was nothing beyond it. Now Hearthglen has a flight path, has a series of quests up there. Didn't used to exist ever. Not ever. I'm going to quickly now take a look at the Eastern Kingdoms just to give an overview. Here we have the Isle of Keldanis. I'm not going to be going up there. That is a Burning Crusade specific zone. Again, you can't fly. That might be why they don't let you go flying in Eversong and Ghostlands, because you might be able to gain access to Isle of Keldanis. But they could have easily just put a barrier here into that wouldn't let you fly through it. I mean, they do it in other zones, so they could have just done that. Anyway, so I've gone through the Eastern Plaguelands. I'm in the Western Plaguelands now. And you're probably wondering about this. I could try and get into this zone, but that zone doesn't exist. You can access the area from Eastern Plaguelands, but you'll, again, just like I'm saying, they could have done up here, you come against a wall that you can't fly through. That zone is not currently in the game yet, even though it's been in the maps since vanilla. So we're going to go to Tirisfal, then we're going to head south to the Silverpine Forest area, and we're going to touch on Gilneas, which I can fly over but not actually access. We're going to leave the PvP area here, the Tol Barad and Baradin Fold area, and we're also not going to go to Vajir because that is Cataclysm specific. We're sticking with vanilla today. So I'm going to swing across over to this area. I'm going to show the gate for Gilneas at the bottom of Silverpine. Then we're going to come across the Hillsbrad Foothills, hit the Hinterlands, and then head south through the Arathi Highlands, into the Wetlands, and we're going to continue south. So that'll be my flight route, just in case anyone's interested. Alright, so everything here, really, as far as the land goes, hasn't actually changed. Nothing's different except for the way the quests work and the places the quests are now that I've already mentioned. So we're just going to fly out into the Tirisfal Glades area, which did change quite a bit. Not where things are, but how things are accessed and what they're accessed by. The Scarlet Monastery area got damaged as far as I'm concerned in the Looking for Group ability. The Looking for Group never used to have breakdowns the way they have now. Scarlet Monastery was there was like 2 instances there, maybe 3. Now they've broken down some of those instances into parts, so you don't even go in and do the whole instance even when you're trying anymore. Ridiculous, but whatever. Okay, here's the Bulwark, which was the big don't go past this for all the newbies who had started off at the Undercity area. Again, it's a matter of don't go through this gate, you're not high enough level. That's all the warning you needed in vanilla.
Yeah.
But now, I guess people need more deterrence, and that's why they had gates blocking you in the Burning Crusade. So here we are in the Tirisfal Glades area. The Tirisfal Glades area didn't change much in this western section. They did change a bit with the monastery, which I'm flying towards now. The major changes in the monastery, as I say, were the quests you would access to get in there, and how they've broken down the actual instances. You can still kind of do it the way it was meant to be, but they've changed the interior of the instances as well to basically nerf the game for newbies. There's the monastery. It's nice being able to get an aerial view of the place. You couldn't do that back in the day, of course. Technically, I'm kind of inside the instance a little bit here by being in this area. But Scarlet Monastery, I have some fond memories of that, but they've taken them and nerfed it. Yeah. And I take a look at the map as I fly south. Nothing's really changed except for the build-up of the Calston estate. That would be the biggest change in the entire zone, is that the Calston estate even exists. It never used to. There's the coast, Murloc-infested coast, yay. There used to be, I don't know if there's still a series of quests that lead you to an errant mage in the middle of, Gunther's Retreat still exists. I wonder if the guy's still there to kill. He was a rogue something or other, a rogue magic user of some sort. Not seeing him, seeing a lot of dead, but I'm not seeing the guy who used to be out here doing the ritual. Oh, maybe this is him here. And he's now a good guy. Okay, I don't know. We're going to go over this way now.
Let's just not go there, shall we?
The changes in this zone were mainly what happened to Brill. Brill used to be a tiny little town, a little stopover waypoint. Now it's freaking huge. You've got enormous walls. It's like a huge war was getting ready to happen here, and it didn't quite happen, which is kind of what actually happened storyline-wise, because just the south here in the Silverpine Forest, they really altered that zone. But Brill is now almost a metropolis.
Yeah.
It's got a flight path now that it never used to have before, right here. The riding trainers are still here, but they're not where they used to be. They used to be right over here.
Yeah.
Now they're up over here in a group outside. They used to be inside their own stables. Brill never used to have a forge, to my recollection. You had to go to the Undercity to do all your forging and blacksmithing. What else? The inn was your typical inn. It wasn't this big monstrosity. It was your typical horde-like inn. A building that, well, actually, I think this inn kind of resembled the, yes it did, I think it resembled the Alliance Inn.
Yes.
But now it's this monstrosity, which was introduced in Lich King, out in Northrend, and then in Cataclysm they moved it here. So a lot of these buildings are actually Cataclysm related as to when they came here, but they're Lich King modeled. Go figure. The cemetery was never this large. That's something else. The cemetery was never this sprawling. No. And there used to be a series of quests to kill a guy in the cemetery. Yep. That series of quests is still there. It's bastardized, but it is still there. The majority of the rest of the zone out here to the west didn't really change, except for the building up of this estate. This estate never used to exist at all. It's a minor quest hub now. It used to be like a guy wandering around, one of these dudes, Gordo. In fact, it might have been Gordo himself, who was wandering around on the roads out here, outside of Deathnell, and he would lead you over here to do quests on this farmstead, which required gaining pumpkins and killing off some bad guys, and then ultimately led over here, which was your first real... Actually, no, it was your second involvement with the Scarlet Crusade. The Scarlet Crusade storyline has been all but removed from the game now. This area has always been accessible, but nothing's ever been over here. I don't know why. They've got beasties over here, but that's about it. They've never actually really put anything over here. They have a huge-ass lake over here, too. Look at this. Huge-ass lake.
Where did that come from?
I think it might have been on the map from a long time ago, but again, there's no reason to go over here. There's nothing there. And look at this. This is a whole zone. Look at this. All this wasted space. The Whispering Forest. Yay, the Whispering... I mean, who cares? I mean, there's nothing over here. Why? You can't get farming for leather, maybe, but you can't get here until you get high enough to be able to fly. So, and what the hell is this? You know?
No idea.
They've got fairy, fey darters. So they got a fairy thing happening there, but they don't actually have anything over here. I don't understand that. I just don't understand that. They changed the beginning of the Forsaken as well. When you start off as undead, you don't actually start the same way you used to. There used to be a series of quests just to get you out of your tomb. Now you just kind of pop out and off you go. Death Knell didn't really change all that much, except for the fact that this tomb now has a couple of quests in it that are accessed from out here, which is kind of weird. I just want to check and see if one of the in-jokes, maybe not in-jokes, but just a good joke is still in the game here, and then we're going to fly south. There used to be a cemetery area just over here. Oh, they're not dead now, but there you got Danny Elfman, which is a play on Danny Elfman. Carol Graves. I mean, these are some good Stephen Barrack. He's supposed to be Stephen King, but he's not. He's Stephen Barrack. Or Bartak. But Sam Phipps. All these are have been involved. All these names are plays on names of people who've been involved in horror movies and such. Their first actual encounter with the Scarlet Crusade was up here, and it is gone. This was Marshall Redpath is supposed to be Scarlet Crusade. Now he's dead, undead. So again, the Scarlet Crusade plotline is pretty much gone. So we're going to head back and take a look at the Undercity, which was my very first city. My first flight path, which did not come from Brill, came from the Sepulchre, which is further south, in the Silverpine forest area, and went into the cave, which is right here, which takes you into the sewers of the Undercity. I freaked out with that flight path. Holy crap, we can fly. Holy crap, I'm going in a big tunnel underground. Holy crap. It was quite the nerdgasm at the time. The Undercity itself has changed to accommodate the ability to fly. These ruins over here are not part of the actual original Undercity entrance. This here, this little bit right here, is the Undercity entrance. And of course, the gates here leading to the Silvermoon access point, which is right there, the old translocation. That was new. But then when they opened up the ability to fly, they decided, okay, let's open up the other part of the ruins over here as well. So you've got a whole bunch of virtually no quests out here. Look at the size of this area. No quests. Towers, no quests. Nothing. I mean, talk about pissing away so much space. Look at this. Look at this. If people over here, I mean, there's no reason they can't have questing over here, but they just don't. If there is, there's only very little, so...
Waste of space.
Completely. Now we're into the Silverpine Forest area. The Silverpine Forest area changed a lot during Cataclysm. This whole area, nothing's really changed there. It's the Forsaken Front that's new. The flight paths on the way down with. There used to be a flight path at the Sepulchre, and there was a flight path somewhere down here outside this village, whose name I can't remember right at this point, but we will get down there. Ambermill used to be a large questing area, now it's muted. Fenris Isle used to be a fairly good questing area too. It's been muted. One of the best quests in there was finding a guy's head, and the head was animated, and he had you going around trying to find the rest of his body. That was really fun. That quest I don't think even exists anymore, although the location of his head still exists, and you can still dig up the head, but it doesn't actually, I think it might tell you off or something, but it doesn't communicate with you or give you quests anymore. That's all gone. This Forsaken Rearguard is new. It allows questing down here at the beachhead in the Skittering Dark. Those quests used to exist, but they came from the Sepulchre, and so they've moved where the quests start. And this is all just a matter of being able to nerf the game to make it easier for people who hadn't been playing to access it. How easy? Really simple. Once you get into the zone, which these gates signify the entrance of this zone, there's actually a caravan for people who are too pussy to walk that takes you from here and rides all the way down to the Forsaken Front. I mean, how ridiculous. Here's the caravan now. Okay? The Horde Coffin Hauler. As you can see by the icon, you can actually get on this thing and ride it. Why walk when you can ride? Because you're too fucking lazy to walk. Back in the day, we didn't even have flight paths yet to this point in the game. We were still walking on foot. We might have hit, I don't think we would have hit level 20 yet. So we didn't have the ability to ride. We had nothing. There were quests in the Ivor Patch that were challenging hard quests. There were quests over here in this little area over here. What's this? Valgan's Field. Yes, there were quests in here that at the time were challenging to do. But you couldn't get these quests until you went past them. The bridge is nice. I'll give you this. They made the bridge look prettier. It used to be just a bridge. Now it's got this covered bridge bit with the skull and the webbing falling in. I mean, the bridge is pretty. I'll give you that. But to this point, we didn't even have a flight path. You had to come all the way down here, follow the road signs, which were right here like this, you know, and then you have to go up here to get your first flight path. These walls didn't exist, not like this. They were normal Alliance walls because this area used to be Alliance. So, and the cemetery was big, but I don't think it ever extended down the hill like this. The cemetery was confined to this part here, and there were quests that you had to go in here to get that were apothecary-based, alchemy-based, I think, ultimately. But this used to be a really large questing zone. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's been reduced literally to a flight path and a couple of buildings. Again, the inn and everything, these buildings did not exist in this form. They were smaller, muted, more Alliance-based. And this used to be your first flight path right here, the Bat Handler here, and you get a quest to go to the Undercity, and that was your very first flight path in the game. You could go to the Undercity, but the quest kind of had you not go to the Undercity. They had you come up here first and then go to the Undercity to kind of discover it for the first time. It was just the way the quests were run. It wasn't a discouraged exploration. It was just the quests didn't specifically lend themselves to exploration. They were kind of, you know, they were more, I guess handheld would be the word you'd want. But things have changed. Now it's just a matter you go to the first town, Brill, and next thing you know you're flying all over the goddamn place and riding caravans without having to walk. And yeah, it's great. You can do all this stuff and see zones and everything without actually putting any effort into it. That's wonderful. Okay, get rid of another few seconds. I'm going to have to pop that again. All these areas existed the way they did, but the questing in this area is not as big as it used to be. It used to be a challenge to get through this area because the level you would be at the time. There, I'll pop that. Nothing else for a half hour. The Forsaken Front was brand new. This is all brand new. It used to be the road curved, as you'll see, it curves over there. And this is the entrance to Shadowfang Keep, one of the earliest instances for the Forsaken. Okay, that hasn't changed. But this village has completely changed. Pyrewood Village. This used to be all elites. Everything in here was elite. It also wasn't torched like this. It wasn't as badly destroyed. And there was a pile of good quests in here if you were of level. I think there were 30 elites in this zone. So it wasn't easy to get into. You had to level up or be in a party. That changed completely. There were quests that were taking you down here. This used to be full forest. full-on forest. As you can see, it's blighted now. They did a good job of making it look blighted. Trouble is, Silverpine Forest is now the Silverpine Blight. The name hasn't changed to reflect that, but the whole zone's been altered. This gate used to be the... well, first of all, the gate wasn't as monstrous as this, number one. Now it's like epic, this gate. This is the gate into the Gilneas area, which is the start zone for Worgen, which are Alliance werewolf, an Alliance werewolf race. This area still isn't that. There's nothing here for Forsaken to do, which is kind of weird considering it's near the Forsaken start zone. But you don't have any. All you can do is fly around and reveal it. Funny thing is, if you go down here and you have a character in Alliance and you're in Alliance of a higher level, you can come down here and you can wait until you're blue in the face. You will never see a person who's a newbie in this zone doing their newbie quests, because my wife and I checked that out and it just doesn't happen. You can't see a newbie if you're a high enough level not to be in this area. Go figure. Okay, Gilneas was introduced, I believe, during the Cataclysm. I'm pretty sure this was all Cataclysm stuff. So now we're going to head into one of the biggest, the Gilneas Liberation Front base camp. This was a human camp, and the quests near the wall led over here, but this has all been completely altered again by Cataclysm. The part that hasn't changed is the road curving right here. Although it was an actual wall of bricks supporting the road here, not hills. It was bricks held up in a barrier. Kind of like you'd see on the side of a river bank that's being treated for erosion, the way they put those rocks down and then put the chain link fence over the rocks to make sure that the erosion doesn't go any further and destroy the river's flow in order to keep the habitat. It was kind of like that, except it was more regimented. It was wood, a wood frame with actual bricks behind it. So these walls didn't exist. This big area. Obviously, this was put in because of the supposed storyline of the Gilnean invasion trying to head north to thwart off the Forsaken, which was part of the Cataclysm event as well. This little transition zone just didn't exist. You were in Silverpine, then you were in Hillsbrad. This little camp here didn't exist either. South Point Gate, no camp, no flight path, no. You came into Hillsbrad knowing that there was only one flight path in the whole zone. And it's Tarren Mill, but we'll get there when we get there. This area, the sludge field, this actually used to be Hillsbrad. It wasn't even the ruins of Hillsbrad, it was Hillsbrad proper. There was quests up here in the fields, and vineyards used to be here. This whole thing is completely and utterly different. Hillsbrad got completely changed, not for the better at all. The zone map used to be a hell of a lot bigger too, because the zone only went up as high as these fingers. This area up here used to be a whole different zone called the Alterac Mountains. Whole completely different zone, with the ruins of Alterac as the feature. The Dalaran crater was further south. It was in this area, and Hillsbrad was down along the road. Of course, you have to imagine the map much bigger than it is now. But Dalaran was never on the shores of the lake up here. Dalaran was further south. And up here on the shores of the lake, there was a concentration camp that you actually had to deal with, going in and rescuing people who had been grabbed by the Alliance and were being put to work in a concentration-like camp area. Maybe they figured it was too dark and they took out that stuff. But this is completely different. Completely different. We're going to fly up there and take a look. Of course, one of the changes came about with Wrath of the Lich King when they actually airlifted Dalaran and removed it from the game. Now, this area right here the Brazy Farmstead. This has a series of quests. As you can see, I haven't done them. But this series of quests in here is Plants vs. Zombies, a la Warcraft. In fact, if I land here, you're going to see the sunflowers. See that? Plants vs. Zombies, right here. Not easy. If you complete this series of quests, you get a sunflower as a pet. I do have that sunflower pet. I think it's a sunflower, is it not? Singing sunflower. There he is. You get him as a pet. He's a battle pet. So you can actually have him in the game. But these quests they don't relate to your level at all. And they are actually quite challenging. The series of it's not the first one that's challenging. It's the last one that's a bitch. It's you have to really take a look at Wowhead and get the a strategy for completing that. But that farmstead never existed, and if it had existed, it would have been to the north of the crater here. This used to be Dalaran. Now here's the interesting thing: the dome was a big purple dome you couldn't get through, and that's all it was. It was like a big purple nipple on the land. And there was nothing there. They've done a pretty good job as far as making it the same size as the city that actually exists out in Northrend. They've even gone so far. Somewhere down here is the end of the sewer pipe. One of these, I believe, I'd have to actually look harder for. I'm not going to do that right now. Is the sewer pipe exit that's at the bottom of Dalaran. If you know Dalaran at all, you know you can go into the sewers. And if you know the sewers at all, you'll also know there's a way to get out of the city from down there. Via a pipe that used to connect the land down here, and that's no longer there. These ruins, however, did exist. There was a lot of questing in these ruins back in the day. There is still some, but it's muted. It's been pared down. There's the Fenris Isle area again from Silverpine Forest, and now we're going to go into the Alterac Mountains. Now this little area of snow back here, I believe, is still used during the Christmas event, the Winter Veil event. You have to come back here and kill off an abominable snow something. Can't remember the exact name. But these guys used to be elites, the ogres that had taken over the Alterac ruins. And I used to come up here with my Alliance Rogue and try my skill against these guys. They were of level with me, or one level higher than my rogue, and I used to come up here to show off just how well I knew my character by taking these guys out solo, which back in the day was a big freaking deal. Killing off elites of your level was a challenge, a huge challenge. So here we have some more questing areas that used to exist. Crush Ridge Hold. Used to be an actual big deal coming up here. The Fingers. I'm heading over here. Gallows Corner was the quest hub for up in this zone. But these Fingers that strike out over Tarren Mill and such, these used to be part of the Alterac Mountains. See? The name still shows up when you're flying up here. This used to be the entrance area into the Alterac Valley PvP zone, which I believe is still right here. But each of these Fingers, the Headland, Gavin's Naze, Koran's Dagger, Silvera's Naze, all of those were part of this zone, not the Hillsbrad zone. And this was the Alterac entrance, and there's Strongbrad, which also had some quests. This leads up there, right there is the Chillwind camp for the Alliance. And this path is the same as it used to be, and following this river still takes you right to Scholomance. See, that river goes right to Scholomance, just as it always has, but they completely removed a zone. And it was a shame, because the game was fine the way it was. I don't know why they did that. Let's head down to Tarren Mill now. Tarren Mill, again, the buildings have been upgraded, if you want to call it that, to become the Cataclysm version of these buildings instead of the Alliance version of these buildings, which made sense based on the storyline up to that point. I mean, yeah, it makes sense that they've changed the buildings, I'll give you that. They've put the Forsaken slant on them, that's fine. But the place didn't used to look as it used to be more tenuous, a hold they had in this area. You had Hillsbrad, which was humans, not undead. You had Tarren Mill, which was a forsaken foothold in the area, just like it was back in the Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 days. And then down here you had what was one of the most fun zones in the game. This open area around this tower used to be the site of major, prolonged, week-long at times, PvP real-world battles that would not be started off because of an event timer. They would not be started off because of zoning in. They started off because you came here, deliberately went PvP, and started trying to kick every Alliance member's ass. It was wonderful because Southshore was the Alliance town. And as you can see on the map, they're right side by side almost. And this whole area right here was PvP hot zone. And this is a player versus everyone, player versus environment, player versus everyone. Player versus environment server. It's not a PvP server. On PvP servers, you're always at war with the Alliance or the Horde, depending on which faction you are. So seeing any Alliance or Horde, you would be automatically expected to slaughter them. Therefore, they have to have tighter reins on where people can go at certain levels, and they have to have more guards at level cap to thwart people of higher level from coming down and screwing with lower level characters. But back in the day, on the PvE servers, this zone was rife with PvP content without actually being a PvP area. It was just fun to come down to Tarren Mill, see who was fighting, see who was in the zone, go PvP, and join the fray. And when you got tired of it, you take off your PvP, you wait 5 minutes, and you're back to not having to worry about being ganked by Alliance. It was fun. It was great. It's been ruined. It's gone now. It doesn't exist anymore. They've ruined it because they took the opportunity to change Southshore into a plague-ridden zone. There's quests down here. There were quests down here before, but it was a lot more dangerous to come down here and wander through the fields trying to get shit done. It was a lot more dangerous to follow this river down to the shoreline and get involved fighting Naga. Now it's just, average leveling zone. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Now the Nathanderstead, oh my god, talk about an area that was out of its range. I mean, the Nathanderstead originally, the quests in here had you gathering these giant mushrooms you're seeing, which are no longer even, maybe if you have a quest they might be accessible again. It was all about finding treasure chests in the back of this wagon, which is no longer got a treasure chest in it, or around this house, which no longer has treasure chests are gone now. Real world treasure chests don't exist anymore. Now this guy, that's weird, isn't that interesting? He's got a red, I'm gonna gank him though. I discovered a quest. Yeah, what level is this quest? This ought to be hilarious. I bet you it's gray as hell. I'm trying to figure out why the guy had a red, I've never seen a red exclamation mark over a guy's head before. That was kind of interesting. Anyway, this level, I mean, you had to either come in here with a friend, keep somebody else who was doing the quests with you in sight at all times, or you had to wait until you were really high level before you come into this area at all, because these quests really were high level in comparison to what you were doing up to that point. And then Durnhold Keep. Durnhold Keep used to be another elite zone. It kind of still is. They've put in a bunch of quests now that lead you through to kill off named elites. But they can be, I don't think they can be soloed at level 25, which is what they are.
Cannot.
But you don't have to be much higher level to do them.
Stop laughing. I got my ass handed to me and then I complained to you for about an hour and then
You
you
did.
finally came and helped me.
You did. But this used to be, I can't remember, I think this used to be ruins. I think it always used to be ruins. But there was a quest back here, and this area leads up into the Hinterlands, which is the area I've skipped. This path leads you to the Hinterlands. It was guarded, so you couldn't get through here because of these two guys. These guys are level 40, so in other words, if you're not level 40, you ain't coming up here. It's real simple. But this leads into the Hinterlands, which in turn has its own little secret pathway that takes you up into the western Plaguelands. We're coming out near Airy Keep. Airy Keep? Airy... Well, let's see if I'm right. Is it Airy Keep? It's Airy Peak. Okay, close enough. This zone got nerfed hugely.
Yeah, it did.
We'll talk about that after I go through the path. This Airy Peak has not changed. It's exactly the way it always was. Nothing about it has changed. The giant eagle there, nothing there has changed at all. This pathway here is the same as it used to be. Although there might be quests on it now. I don't know if the quests originally were. This camp might be bigger than it was, but it's still not all that different. This path, Plague Mist Ravine path, takes you up into the mountains, over them, oops, fallen log, and actually takes you into the western Plaguelands right near Scholomance. So the path goes along down here, and that is Scholomance again. Okay, here's me. There's me on, and there's Scholomance. Okay? So, we're going to head back out. Now, this is the area, the Jinthal lore area is the area that got nerfed. Heavy. Plus, as usual with Blizzard, they just couldn't leave the zone alone, so they had to put in extra flight paths. We've got a flight path here at the Hirawatha Research Station. And there's another one. Where's the other one? There's another one somewhere. I can't see it. But there's another Horde base. Or maybe there isn't. Maybe that's the only flight path they put in.
There's the research station.
I
There's
can't see.
one at the...
It's somewhere in this area?
No, it's near the temple. There's like a little tent or something like that, and there's...
Okay, so yeah, there's no... I just might not have gotten it, or I'm not seeing it. But this used to be a much more challenging area.
Yeah, it did. You had to walk freaking well everywhere. Okay?
Yeah, it was all foot.
You had to put yourself in freaking camp.
The only flight path was down here at Reventusk. And the Jinthal lore area was a big deal. It was an outdoor instance. A couple of them they had out. It was like a. It wasn't an instance, but it was like an instance in the sense that doing it, which led you up to this little outcropping up here for the final fight. Everything was elite. You needed a party pretty much to do it, or you had to be ridiculously high level. You couldn't just wander up this huge, I mean, it's still enormous.
Yes.
Look at the size of this thing. Up level after level after level of huge troll zone, culminating in a fight up here in a little amphitheater-like area, right there, and ultimately going to the cave which led through the mountain to that other area I was just looking at on the other side for the final fight. A huge questing area. Now look, there are still some quests up there, but the creatures aren't elite at all. Nothing challenging about it anymore at all. I'm just saying. Now there's the Seradane area. I'm just going to quickly head that way before I head south. The Seradane area, as you can see, it's got an enormous tree. That's meant to be one of the world trees, although it's awfully dinky in comparison to the world trees. And down here, if I'm not mistaken, there's a portal that's not being used, which is supposed to take you to a place called the Emerald Dream. There's a few of these throughout the world. This is one of them. There's another one in Ferlas. There's another one in that stupid area south of Silverpine. Not Silverpine, Goldshire. Elwynn Forest. See, there's a portal right there. But the portal doesn't take you anywhere. Because they don't have any plan. I don't even know. There's rumors that the Emerald Dream will eventually be one of the expansions that comes out. Right now it isn't. Just, saying. But it's rumored still that it will eventually be one of the zones that comes out. This side of the Eastern Kingdoms never got hit by Deathwing's big attack. So even though the areas are way down below these mountains and right hugging the shoreline down here, there has been no change to this section at all. None. Except for the quests. Always Blizzard tinkers with the quests to make everything easier so that everybody's happier. Okay, so we're going to head down to the Arathi Highlands here, and while I'm heading down there, I'm just going to talk a little bit about it. Not a lot, not much to say about the Highlands. This used to be the entrance area up here into the Arathi Basin PvP area up here north of Hammerfall. And Gallon's Fall is now a new flight path, yay! And that didn't exist, and Stromgarde Keep used to be all elites, and now that's changed. It's no longer elites. But other than those changes, this zone hasn't really been altered at all. As usual, I'm flying over an area that could be used for questing, but isn't, but let's not bother talking about that. There's Hammerfall, down there. And this area hasn't really changed much, except for the addition of a plague-based little village over here, Gallon's Fall. Nothing's really altered, other than nerfing the level of the creatures and taking off the eliteness of the creatures over in the keep. I guess the Falder's Cove, I don't know if the Falder's Cove quest area existed the same way as it does now back in the day. I'm not sure it did. There's a lot of quests down there now. I'm not sure if they originally existed. I had never found them. But I had swum down there in order to get the reveal, and I don't remember there being quests back there in vanilla. And of course, getting the reveal back in the day, there weren't achievements. That might come as a surprise to a lot of people, but there never used to be achievements in this game. That was added, I think, with the Burning Crusade. I'm pretty sure the Burning Crusade is when the achievements began. Either that or Wrath of the Lich King. They were fully established by the end of Lich King, though. That's guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. I think there used to be a couple of tents here, but this has now grown into a miniature Forsaken Town. Again, plague-based, as you can tell by the green smoke. But this used to be, I think, just a couple of tents. And I don't know if they were even Horde related back in the day. I think it was Alliance related. But now it's got its own flight path, and it's, you know, all that and a bag of chips. Whatever. According to Blizzard, anyway, it's all that and a bag of chips. Alright. Here we are heading down near Stromgarde Keep. This area, like I said, used to be all elites, elite ogres, again, with the ogres. Culminating in a big fight in this tower. And you can still see ogres down there, but it's not the same. And here's the cove, which now has its own pathway and a cave. This cove, Baldur's Cove, now has a bunch of quests. There's a proper boat down here now too. If I remember correctly, it just used to be literally a cove, and that was it. Alright, so we're gonna go take a look at the Thandal Span. This hasn't changed, the span, although there used to be quests that would take you into the actual bridge itself. I don't even know if the wife knew that.
No, I did not.
Yeah, you can actually get into the bridge. See if I can show that to you. See if it's still here. Well, you can see part of it right here. There's a little doorway.
Okay.
See that?
Yeah.
You can see there's people in there too.
Yeah.
See? It used to be right here. Anytime you're going through this area, you're just trotting across. But if you actually stop and take a look, you can go inside it. Yeah, and they used to be, I think they used to be elites in there as well. So, pretty cool, huh?
Wow.
A lot of people don't even know that you can quest in there, or that you could quest in there. This is Dun Motor, that's become nerfed as well. It's level 100. I'm now PvP because of going close enough to that guy. But that used to be an elite area. It didn't used to be an alliance anything. I think it's an alliance flight path now. It used to be just a challenging section that was blocking you from going further south into the wetlands, so you wouldn't, piss off the people down in the alliance start zone. So here we go into one of the alliance start zones, and this, it's not a start zone, it's a second zone, third zone actually, for the dwarves and gnomes, after the Dunmorrow and then the Loch Modan area. The wetlands went through a lot of changes due to Cataclysm, because this part of the coast did get hammered by Deathwing. And while the boats and sunken ships are not new, the difference to Menethil Harbor are enormous. Menethil Harbor is now underwater, for the most part. It used to be a pleasant questing area, Menethil Harbor. There had some good quests coming out of it, going through the fens and the marshlands here. But they basically destroyed the town. There might be some quest areas still in there because the buildings haven't gone anywhere. And there are still boats on the bay that take you to the new revamped Stormwind, as well as over to, I believe, the Night Elf start zone, which is Alliance. So this area has changed with that, but it's not the only area that's changed in this section. The Green Warden's Grove is much bigger than it used to be. I think Welgard's Retreat is brand new. I don't think it actually existed back in the day. But the Green Warden's Grove is now a small town. It used to be a couple of trees hanging out and talking to each other. Now it's a small town. Flight path included. Yeah, this area didn't exist. This is an extension of the excavation, which is right over there where you can see the bridges and everything. That's an excavation area. This is an extension on that. They've got their own town. They probably have a flight path down there too. So that's all completely new as of Cataclysm. And as you can see, there's a tower I'm approaching. That's the Green Warden's Grove. As I said, it never used to have anything here. Nothing at all. Building-wise. There's a bunch of trees talking at the crossroads. And there's a crossroads there. I think from there you'd see the exclamation marks. And then you could head over to the Green Warden's Grove. And the reason the Green Warden's Grove exists is because of this path of destroyed stuff, which actually leads to the Twilight Highlands, which, as we all know, was the zone that was added in Cataclysm. The zone was always on the map, but it was a big empty area. Okay? Now, of course, it's the Twilight Highlands area. This section, though, did exist. There were raptors galore up here on Raptor Ridge. There still are. And you could follow this pathway. There were elite dragons. The dragons are still here. The Dragon Mugate. See these whelps? And these firetails? They used to be elite. They used to be in number to deliberately block you from going through here. Okay? But you could go through here. If you got through them, all that existed, you didn't have this whole zone, all that existed was the roadway here. And you didn't get a reveal for it either. And this roadway takes you up and around to Grim Batal, which is now an actual instance in the game, introduced in Cataclysm, but which is a storied location back in the original Warcraft and Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness days. There we go, Grim Batal. Oh, somebody needs me. Let me just find them. This won't take long. Right. Figure out where this guy is. Make sure I've got that portal. War Spirit, I do, look at that. Where is this dude? Oh, I'm getting close to him.
Yep.
I don't mind. Lawn cast it. Here's the mountain. There we go. He's gone. Here we go. Most people would ignore that or demand a tip. I'm not that guy.
No.
Okay, here's the lock, and we got lots to say about this. Might as well advertise. I might have to actually put the gut round stuff in. Okay. Now then, I'm back in the wetlands quickly. Just want to show the map. Now this area, this lake area did used to exist, but it didn't look like this because there was a wonderful waterfall. A wonderful waterfall that came out of this stone rot dam. And that's what Deathwing did to the dam. So the Loch Modan zone, again, here we go again, is now misnamed. Because the dam doesn't exist, the lake doesn't exist, and Loch means lake. It's Scottish for, well, Scottish isn't an actual language, but, you know, Loch is lake. I guess it would be Celtic, maybe? Somebody can correct me on that if they like. Anyway, the point is, the Loch Modan area no longer really has a loch. It has this little piddly puddle. And that's that's one of two enormous changes to the zone. The other big change is the excavation that's over here that I'm heading towards. That's an archaeology starting area. So I'm beginning to think that archaeology was the Cataclysm edition. And up beyond it in the distance there... Oops, what do I have quest up? I should get rid of this. Oh, there we go. Up over here is the Hunter Retreat, which actually got people started on doing their hunting, getting their first pet and stuff like that. Pretty neat. If you're, you're Alliance and stuff. Don't know what these buildings were meant to be or anything, or they even look out. Do they look out on the water at all? So why would you build buildings that close to a beautiful view like that and not bother? That town we'll be talking about down there, that's a goblin town. That's one of the changes to the Badlands, which we're getting to. Sorry this is such a long stream. I expect this to be a rather short stream in comparison to the things that I've done in the past. But turns out there's a lot to talk about over these areas, doesn't it?
Yes.
Now this gash. This never used to exist. This separates, physically, the Alliance starting zone area with the Badlands. That's one of the big Badlands. In fact, the Badlands had only the one instance. And this is the area right there that I'm flying over right now. That's a great area. Alderman is the name of the instance. And it has a back door, which is access down this area. Oh no, sorry, it's access over here. Back door, I think it's right there actually. And the tops of those mountains were ripped off by Deathwing flying over the area. That's a scar that he made, and they chopped off the mountains. We'll get into that more when we get over there. But right now, due to the ability to fly through the zones, they made this really ragged tear to keep people from going that way. If you're in the Loch Modan area, they want to keep you in the Loch Modan area. Although, they also did a change down here in the stone, actually not this area, but the Valley of the Kings. There used to be a big pair of doors down here that wouldn't let you through. Now, it's open. And it's just another transition that allows you to go from here down to, I believe, the Searing Gorge area. Guarded by a level 44, but, you know, all he's going to do is tell you you're not ready to go in that zone. Let's go over to the Dunmorrow area, which is an Alliance start zone. Have I flown through here? Look at that, I have. One of the biggest things that they've changed in this area is the fact that they've put in an actual start zone for gnomes. Kind of like the start zone they put in for trolls over in Durotar, but we'll get to that when we get there. One of the other things they've had to do, based on the fact that they've allowed flight in the starting areas, is they had to actually populate the airstrip up here. Back in the day, when you were flying over this area, this used to be one of the most annoying things. You fly over this area and it's an airfield. It's obviously an airfield. There's no question it's an airfield. There's a runway and everything. You can see the runway from here. Used to be one of the most annoying damn things. There's the whole area. Okay? And you could fly over it, but it wasn't revealable. It stayed a dark spot on the map, even though you got the achievement for clearing the rest of the map without clearing this. And there was nothing there. Now, it's a populated area, but there's still no quests there, so it's a complete waste. You'd think they put a cave in to get you to Ironforge this way, that way they could die. This is a little quest zone. But they didn't do that, because they apparently know better at Blizzard. And so another wasted huge chunk of land that could be put to use, and they just have not bothered. Or if they have bothered, it's very little and not a lot of questing there. Here we're coming around to the gates of Ironforge. Ironforge being, just like the Undercity, a big underground area. Ironforge used to, originally it was meant to be multiple levels. It was meant to be about 3 times the size it is. There are still some cool things about Ironforge I could show you, but I'm not on an Alliance character for this fly-through. Therefore, I'm not going to be able to show you right now. I might be able to show you in a later stream, but right now, there's the entrance to Ironforge. And the big changes to this zone have come over here. It used to be a tiny little town or two, setting you up for the entrance to, I call it Nomragan. Other people call it Nomragan. I don't even know what the hell this building is. This building is brand new to me. But they've now made this town called New Tinkertown. Okay, this is it. Oh, it's an arsenal building. New Tinkertown houses the entrance to Nomragan, or Nomragan. And this used to be just a normal start zone. Now it's all gnomes, if I'm not mistaken. And all this stuff, I don't think there's any quests out here unless you're a gnome. The dwarves still start in their original start zone, which is to the south here, through this cave. I haven't played a gnome or dwarf since Cataclysm, or at least I haven't played a starting gnome or dwarf. I think I might have done the new Tinkertown stuff right when Cata came out, but I didn't, or right when I started playing it after Cata came out, but I didn't really do much with it. This here is the dwarf starting zone though. we can fly over this way. There's the zone map. Now we're out over the cold expanse of water, where we're heading over towards the steppes, the Burning Steppes, and the Searing Gorge. Yeah, that still counts as part of the Dunmore area. Alright. Fatigue, yeah, right. Now with a mount that flies this fast. Okay, here we are in the Searing Gorge area. Just gotta wait until the channel changes. There we are. There's the Searing Gorge area. Obviously the Stone Rot Pass from the Loch Modan section is a new feature. But for the vast majority of this zone, nothing's really changed. There are a few more quests, and being a member of the Thorium Brotherhood is no longer a big deal. That used to have a whole series of quests that would ultimately lead you, it would put you in the Searing Gorge and stuff, and then ultimately lead you to Blackrock Mountain, which you can see right there. But that's been taken out quite a bit. In fact, there's another, I'm going to call it a quote-unquote outdoor dungeon that is still accessible down here. You can still get into it, but I don't think the quests even exist anymore for it, really. There's the entrance. There's one of the entrances for it. There's another entrance down this way somewhere, I think. I can't remember. But that used to be a huge area that you could do lots of questing in, and now they've nerfed it. Oh, no, it's all the same entrance. But they've nerfed that. Oh, there's another entrance right there. Yeah, this elevator is the same as it used to be, but yeah, it's a huge area in there, and if you go the right way, you still get to elites, but it's not really all that much of a big deal anymore. They've toned it down, as they've toned down everything else. One of the other things they've toned down is the ability to get to Blackrock's instances, because now, as you're about to see, you can fly inside the mountain. No, never used to be able to do that. In fact, you couldn't even ride a ground mount in here, people. You couldn't even ride a ground mount. No, it was all about coming in on foot. Okay? You can never come up here and see the coolness from up here. It was all well hidden. In fact, they might not even have had stuff up here. No, it was all about running across these chains to get into the top of this area in order to come out the bottom of this area and run across that chain in order to get to the Blackrock Depths area, which is in a huge cavern section, as you can see, to get to the actual entrance.
That's a creepy face.
And these used to be elites. Yes, it is. There used to be, I think there still is, a named elite that patrols this area that drops some good shit, and that would lead you to the Blackrock Depths, an instance which has been broken into parts. And then if you wanted to go to upper and lower Blackrock Spire, you had to go up the same way, but you had to jump over to this area and get yourself onto this little ledge, and then go in there, and straight in there is upper Blackrock Spire and lower Blackrock Spire. It used to be all one instance. The instance entrance used to be here, and then you'd decide which way you'd go in there. Now they've broken into two instances. And they've added, of course, Blackwing's Lair, which is another instance which is accessed under here through this. And Blackwing Lair is a new instance. There's a raid for the Blackwing Descent, I believe, and the entrance to that is on this ledge. At the end, there's a room with an orb that allows you to go to the Blackwing Descent, which was an original level 60 raid, and then you have Blackwing Lair in there now. So a lot of changes as far as how you can travel inside this area. We go out this way, and lo and behold, we're no longer in... Oh, this... I accidentally went the wrong way. There's a Searing Gorge. Let's try this again, shall we? Let's try this one more time. That's a Searing Gorge. Now we're going to fly across the span. There we go. We're going to go out. There we go. Into Burning Steps. And the Burning Steps has gone through some minor changes as well. Mostly it's added a flight path here, added a flight path here, eliminated, or that might, no, I think that was always Horde. That's a flight path that existed since 60. Morgan's Vigil is the Alliance flight path in this zone. So they've again changed the quest lines, changed where you get some of the quests, but for the most part the zone hasn't changed, except for this over here. And we'll get to that when we get to that, which we're going to do soon. I just want to show off the Altar of Storms since I'm already here. Just fly me over here. The Altar of Storms hasn't really changed. There it is. I think it might have been a giant pentagram back in the day. I have screenshots of that. I'll be posting those at some point on my Twitter account. I think that might be new. A new little section there, but again, we're talking minor cosmetic changes. We're not talking anything huge. Now this area, because of the way things used to be done, if you were a low-level character and you revealed a really high-level zone, you used to get a buttload of experience for it. I think if you were low enough level, you could almost go up a level just by revealing one zone. So this area had one of those sections off of the Red Ridge Mountains, which is an Alliance zone, which houses Lake Ridge. If you were able to sneak your way up and get into the zone enough and get a reveal, you'd get buttloads of experience. And that's the road I'm coming up to right here. This is the area that you'd have to go through as Alliance in order to get that reveal. Heading that way anyway. As you can see, lots of area you can fly over, none of which has actually got any quests. There might be occasional mobs and stuff. But look at all this unused. Aesthetically pleasing. There's a couple of pets down there you might be able to grab, but for the most part it's unused. There's Blackrock Pass. Blackrock Pass is the original way to get in here. I'm just going to quickly go down here for just a second. Change the zone, show up the map. Okay, so if you were Horde and you wanted to come up this way from, say, Swamp of Sorrows, which is right down here, you had to go through Deadwind Pass, sneak your way through Duskwood without aggroing anybody in Darkshire. Duskwood's the name of the place I've been trying to remember, by the way. Come up through the, actually no, from Duskwood, get back down there. This roadway actually leads you into Lake Ridge. It doesn't lead you into Elwynn, it leads you into Lake Ridge. Okay, you see there's no road there, there's a road right here. Okay, and then you have to go all the way around this way to avoid frickin' Lakeshire. Because Lakeshire would aggro on you and kill you and you'd be screwed and it would take you forever to get up the Burning Steps. But now, as you can see on the map, they did something that actually is one of the better things they've done, in my estimation. They didn't use a whole bunch of land to do it, so I'm flying over more useless wasted mountains. But as you can see, there's now a road here. It's called the Lake Ridge Highway. And the Lake Ridge Highway actually takes you from the Burning Steps up here down to the Swamp of Sorrows and comes out at a new town called Bogpaddle and allows Horde to completely avoid that stupid run through the Red Ridge Mountains and everything to get from one point to another point to continue leveling up on the same continent. So, in short, yay! That's all I have to say about that. The Lake Ridge Mountains area used to be wonderful for a couple of things. Ooh, I missed a section of the Hillsbrad actual area. Let me just go back up here. Just for a second, bear with me folks, I'm not going to fly back there. I just want to go back there and talk about something. Up here, right here actually, there's a little dotted line you can see. This path used to lead to a place called, oh god, I can't remember the name of it, but it was, Syndicate was the name of the faction. They were the bad guys that were fighting against SI7, which is the Alliance version of MI6. SI7 is their spies and rogues group. And the Syndicate used to be a worthwhile reputation that you had to grind away at in order to gain, well, actually, the more hated you were with them, the more you could buy for your rogue. But that was back when rogues had poisons that had to be mixed and then applied to weapons rather than having them as just abilities.
Right.
And that was back when the talent ladders actually had depth instead of just the one choice out of 3 who gives a damn. That was back when you had to actually level your weapon skill, not just put a weapon on and go to town. So that was back when the game was good and fun all the way from beginning to end, rather than, you know, fun in parts and horribly horrible in others. So let's go back down to where we are here, which is way down here in the Red Ridge Mountains area. So back in the day, there used to be a lockpicking skill. Now there still is a lockpicking skill. You're going to say, what? There is still lockpicking. What are you talking about back in the day? Yeah, back in the day, lockpicking was a skill you had to earn. Back in the day, lockpicking used to have to be a skill you had to actually level up. And Arthur's Mill was one of the first, in fact I think rogues learned the lockpicking skill around this area. And inside this barn there used to be a bunch of chests that rogues had to actually pick the locks of in order to level up their lockpicking skill. Doesn't exist anymore because lockpicking as a skill is no longer in the game. Lockpicking is simply something that you learn when you get there. So no longer do you go into a Horde or Alliance city and have people saying, willing to open lockboxes for tips. People still do it. People still need lockpicks to be done for them. But they, in Pandaria, they invented ghost iron keys for blacksmiths. So blacksmiths could open keys as well. So they opened up the number of people who actually had the ability to open up locks. And the keys, I think, could be sold on the auction house. So people could buy them without ever having to deal at all with other humans. Oh, this is Lake Ridge Highway. Then I don't know what the hell they called us. I guess they don't have a name for it. Anyway, the nerfing of that particular aspect of the game kind of ruins some of the feel that you had when you went into a city. One of the improvements they did, though, is they finally finished building this damn bridge. This bridge used to be busted in the middle. Now they've made a proper Alliance span, you know what I mean? It's no longer made of wood, it's a span, goddammit, and it's got fucking flags on it, so you just watch yourself, Horde.
Yeah.
Yeah. The three corners never used to have a tower. Three corners was just the three corners, folks. It was just literally this three corners right here. I'm staring at it. It used to be that intersection. Now there's a tower and a bunch of quests there. The quests were there, but they were given by some guy camping out at the three corners. Done and done. Simple as that. Now we're flying into the Elwynn forest area, and at this moment I'm just going to make sure that I haven't skipped anything. Have I skipped anything? No, I've managed to keep everything good. We're just doing these final zones down here, folks. Circling around, taking a look, and it looks like with this character I haven't actually revealed Stormwind City. Stormwind City, site of one of the biggest changes in the game for the Alliance. The majority of this zone hasn't really undergone changes except for where quests are gotten and where the quests lead. Stone Cairn Lake still has its big-ass island in the middle of it, and there's a Hero's Vigil. There's can I actually access this? I wonder if I can, as Horde. I can. It's only something to read, though. It doesn't actually do anything for me. There's a bunch of quests there. There's a bunch of quests to find bodies that were stolen by the Murlocs of 2 guards that were patrolling the area for the Alliance. One of the biggest changes in this zone, I'm coming up to these dead trees. This is the Alliance start zone for humans. And it never used to be on fire.
No.
That's Deathwing's addition to the Northshire vineyards. In fact, the vineyards are no longer really there. There's the remains of the vineyards. But the vineyards used to be all the way over here, and there were humans to kill. Now there's, you know, a cave there that doesn't actually go anywhere, that should, but it doesn't. Here's the original chapel. My very first character in the game ever was actually a paladin by the name of Timbuktu, and I have rolled that character, and he's now one of my level 100s. He's my only Alliance character, and he's capped, and he's doing his garrison work. I will probably show him off at some point. And here we come up to Stormwind. Stormwind has undergone some major frickin' changes since the original days of the vanilla game. One of the changes I won't actually be able to show you properly, which kind of sucks, it's right down here. This used to have an instance entrance swirl right here. They've replaced it with a fountain, but the water used to go all the way into the wall, and there was a gate there, and there was an instance swirl because there was originally supposed to be more than one instance accessible through Stormwind. They still have the instance over here in this building, which is the stockades. But it used to be that that was going to be something else as well. Additionally, one of these buildings in here used to be, it was originally supposed to be, first it was supposed to be a guild building that would allow you to have your own building in town in your guild. Then it became the auction house. This is right here. Then they moved the auction house due to having a large amount of people needing it. This is now the auction house, right across from the bank, and the bank never changed. That's the entrance to the bank right there, the Stormwind Counting House. So that stuff hasn't changed. Well, the buildings have moved around a little bit, but the biggest change is the castle. The castle never used to have this grandiose frickin' entrance. From this gate, you used to go in the entrance and up a stairway, or sorry, up a ramp, the actual ramp that's still there inside. The castle was right here. This whole area is new. This whole area was built specifically with Cataclysm, and the castle's a little bit more rich inside. There's still some quests that used to happen inside the castle, in the library here and off the wings here, but I don't know if those quests even still exist anymore. Another major change is the barracks. If anybody recognizes or has been to Stormwind back in the day and is seeing it now again for the first time, let me tell you the differences. First of all, they're calling this area the Stormwind Barracks, which I hate to tell you folks is a load of bullshit. The old barracks. What old barracks? If you look at the original map of Stormwind, and again, I have images that I can post to my Gutrend account on Twitter or on Facebook that'll show this for you on the Gutrend channel. This used to be called the Park. It was a park. There was nothing there. There was no profession training stuff there. All the profession training stuff was handled in the other areas. This was a park. There was nothing frickin' there. Now they're calling it the old barracks and making everybody do the weepy thing because the old barracks is now a big crater. But it never used to be a barracks. It was a frickin' park, people. Okay, down here you have your clothy and your alchemy stuff in the mage section. This is the mage quarter, okay? In here you had your trades, all your trading, all your selling, buying and selling, food, weapons, armor, okay? If you wanted your specialized food, weapons, and armor, you'd come over here, over to the Dwarven area, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, sorry, this is just Old Town. Down here right below me is an inn, which used to be the inn. Oh hell, I've been hit. Well, that sucks, I'm gonna die. Well, we're gonna release the spirit, and it looks like I'm gonna do a little bit of running. Wasn't high enough, I guess. Oops. So bear with me, folks. I got a little bit of a run to go now. Shit. That's okay, I can mount up in the water and fly straight up and get away from everybody again, stay higher.
Naughty.
I flew too low. I'm trying to show people what I can show, you know? Anyway, that district houses SI7, which I will show you when I get back there. Old Town, the inn that I died almost directly over, the inn I got attacked at, that inn is the place where you get all the good recipes from. Now they have a cook outside the stockades that gives you your daily quest and the majority of your recipes, but if you're a keen observer and an old school player, you will remember to go to that inn to get more recipes because they're hidden there. Because they're not really part of the game as is. You'd have to wander off the beaten path to find that place. Who's going to wander off the beaten path when they're too busy getting coddled, having their thumbs sucked by having flight paths in Goldshire that take you up to the city? I mean, geez. You're telling me that you can't walk from this frickin' spot to this frickin' spot to this frickin' spot without a flight path between these two? That's right. I'm angry old man, but I got reason on this one. I got reason. I do. I think the crazy cat lady still lives out here outside Stormwind in their little shack. We'll check it when we get there. Anyway, Murlocsville, here we go. Murloc huts, as you can see. This area hasn't undergone much change. Goldshire has undergone change. They've added more buildings. Okay, that's the big change for Goldshire. Big whoop. Of course, the flight path is an addition. But, you know, alliances always need more hand-holding. That's something that has been clear and obvious since the beginning of the game. And alliance players playing now will fight me on that and complain and bitch and moan and tell me I'm full of shit. But if you're an alliance player from the old days, you'll know. You'll know. Because if you ever... There's the flight path for the alliance. If you ever played a Horde character back in the day, Horde just said go out and do shit. Alliance said go out and do shit and let me hold your hand and take you there so you won't get lost on the way because you're a stupid idiot who needs a hand holding. And honest to God, that's how it used to be. Here's a crazy cat lady house. You can buy a lot of cats from her. Or it's this one, one of the others, one of the two houses. I think it's the one that's closest to Goldshire, though. There's the Alliance Cemetery. Make me walk half the goddamn zone, but they can just walk in from there. Anyway, one of the other changes is now because you have the ability to fly, they've altered slightly the area up here for the Flight Master. This area right in here, it's a little bit bigger inside now. You're saying I can fly. No, I can't fly. Stop lighting up and highlighting things that I can do when I know I can't, you big liars. Yes, the flight area is much bigger. It used to be a tiny little area you'd fly up, but now it's freaking gaping huge. They didn't make the scale of the city larger all around. It was specific aspects. Like, this main drag never changed, ever. It hasn't changed. The area over here changed. Like I said, one of these buildings, I think it was, it might have been that building, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. It used to be the auction house. And as I said, it was originally scheduled to be a guild-based building so that you could have your own building if you were a guild. A building that you could furnish and alter and stuff, kind of like the garrison is now. The garrison now is the equivalent of what used to be planned as a building that was specific for your guild. Okay, so let's get a little bit more height here so we don't get ganked again. There we go. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, there's the inn. Okay. Over here, it's much smaller than it used to be. This used to be the SI7 area. Much smaller than it used to be. And instead what they've done is they've expanded out this way in 3 areas. Area number 1 is the area to get to the Cataclysm Zones and the Pandaria. The Cataclysm Zones are accessed around the circle. Pandaria is accessed by the balloon. And this is now where they hang the dragon heads rather than just outside the main gates. Then over here you have a farmland area, which is there specifically for the occasional daily cooking quest. Over here you have a huge cemetery area to honor the dead that were killed by Deathwing's attack. And then you have the new area, the Stormwind Docks, which is the launch area for Cataclysm. They have lighthouses you can see, dockworks and everything else. There's the flying ship that takes you to the Pandaria section. All that's new. And this was a park, goddammit. Anyway, okay. So, now we're going to continue our flight south. Alright, this area up here also never existed. It's now an area that you go to in order to get some questing done, I think. But as you can see, it's also got another one of these portals that doesn't take you anywhere yet at all, but there it is. Now, if this is an addition as a result of Cataclysm, you've got to assume that that thing's going to take you somewhere at some point. But not yet. Because they're stupid at Blizzard sometimes. They just are. I'm sorry, they just are. Alright, the rest of the things that are changed down here, as I mentioned, is Goldshire having a flight path. And the way this cave here, the Fargo Deep Mine, used to have Hogger as a guy at the end of it. Now Hogger's a guy outside of it that you fight. And Hogger is actually about to become a pet that you can get. That's right. He's gone from down here into the stockades as a final boss, now to become a pet that you can actually have with you. I don't know if he's an actual fighting pet or whether he's just a companion pet, but as of patch 6.2, which is about to drop probably in the next month or so, you're going to have Hogger as an actual pet that you can have with you.
I'm sorry, excuse me. What?
Yeah. Don't ask.
I beat the crap out of that dude, okay?
Yeah.
I got my ass handed to me.
You beat him up out in the farm, and then you beat him up in the stockades. But now...
And now he's a pet?
Now he's going to be a pet. On top of that.
This Blizzard freaking owes me.
You still beat him up in the farm area, and you still beat him up in the stockades. But I guess when you get this elite, you're allowed to have him as a pet because you're rock. Whatever. Okay, so this area, this is the Westfall Zone. The Westfall Zone has also been overgone by a lot of changes, actually. The quest line up here has altered immensely. There's a huge chasm now, which we're going to be flying towards in just a second. Sentinel Hill has become a fortified town, kind of like what happened with Brill. And the Dead Mines area has also changed, but the biggest change there is actually inside the mines. So there's the Gaping Chasm. That's another blight on the landscape caused by Deathwing surfacing. There's quests going down there, but all the quests in this area have been nerfed. Even the cave going into the Dead Mines, they're no longer elite in there, they're just normal guys. And they've also, because the Alliance really does need their hand to be held, in the Dead Mines now, in order to get into the Dead Mines by going in the cave that's found, they actually have gone so far as to put survivors, the refugees from the Sentinel Hill area. Sentinel Hill is now starving people out. Okay? I'm not sure what the storyline is here, really in depth. I know that the Scarlet Crusade is gone. They were bad guys for both Alliance and Horde. The Scarlet Crusade is basically gone. Sentinel Hill used to be literally that tower and a bunch of huts and these longhouses. Now there's these huge walls around it, and there's bring food to the needy, but you're not allowed to let the needy really into the town. The needy aren't allowed to come into the Sentinel Hill because Sentinel Hill is a war town. All the needy are being kept over here in Moonbrook, and they're pretty pissed off. And the Delphius, which is the pirates of the zone, they're the ones that run the area that's known as the Dead Mines. They're the pirates that have got the area under their control, And it turns out that one of the, I think the final boss of the Dead Nines now, is no longer, if you play it on Heroic, it's no longer the captain, it's the captain's daughter. Spoiler alert! Whatever. I think that was a change since Cataclysm, because they nerfed the Dead Mines pretty bad too. The entire instance is there, but they've nerfed the bosses in a horrible, horrible way. Anyway, so that takes care of the majority of this particular zone. We're going to head over to Duskwood before we head south into the Stranglethorn River. We're going to hit Duskwood, the Darkwind Pass, Duskwind Pass, bucket. Then we'll hit the Swamp of Sorrows, then we'll come back through the, well, I haven't really taken a look at the Badlands yet, have I? I haven't really talked about them completely. I mentioned them kind of offhand. But I think I pretty much showed the majority of the Badlands as far as it pertains to the game now. Now Duskwood has another one of these areas that is in here, the Twilight Grove. You can see it right here. Twilight Grove is an area that we're going to head to. It's this area up near this big tree. It's another area that's got an Emerald Dream entrance that doesn't have any Emerald Dream. One of the big changes that's happened is actually Raven Hill. Raven Hill now has a more extensive cave system underneath it. And it's got a flight path for the Alliance as well. There's a Twilight Grove. There's the portal. The unused Emerald Dream portal. I don't know what the Blizzard's got up their sleeve, or if they even know themselves what the hell they've got up their sleeves. Some of the areas that have changed, like the Raven Hill area, I can't really go and show very much of without actually landing and going on foot. So I'm afraid you're going to have to take my word for it. If you want a more in-depth study of certain areas, well, that's what Twitter's for. Tell me that you want that, and that's what I'll go to. Alright? Heading over the Darkshire area. Again, that used to be a pretty dangerous place to go over. Oh, you couldn't go over it, you had to go through it. And here we have where one of my favorite instances is Deadwind Pass. One of my favorite instances in the game is here. There it is right there. Like Scholomance, which is one of my other favorite instances in the game, before they nerfed it, you can actually land on part of this instance. You can land on the final bosses area right here. There we are. You can actually, this is where the final fight kind of happens. As you can see, there's actually a gate here. Huh. You can't go in this way, though. Interesting. And is this meant to be a flight path up here? Are they doing something new with Karazhan that I don't know about? Huh. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Might bear some looking into at some point. Okay, we're working our way over to the Swamp of Sorrows area. This is a little bit of the Badlands, or not the Badlands, the Blasted Lands. Here's the Swamp of Sorrows, and the Swamp of Sorrows. Where am I in relation to the Badlands exactly? There's Red Ridge. I think the Badlands are over here, aren't they? There they are. Well, yeah, I missed most of the Badlands. Not a lot changed there. They've added a couple of flight paths. New Kargath instead of Kargath. Kargath is still down here, but it's the ruins. Angor Fortress is still as it was. Alderman. Fuselight by the Sea. You can get there by going from the eastern Plaguelands, from Light's Hope Chapel. You can actually take a flight that takes you down here. Starts you questing in this zone. And Fuselight is a goblin town as well that's been added to the zone. It's neutral, so both the Alliance and Horde can go there. New Kargath is Alliance, but it was Horde back in the day. So there, I just wanted to quickly mention that because I'm sure people are going to be complaining that I'm skipping huge chunks. So there, I've covered that area, and now we're in the Swamp of Sorrows. Swamp of Sorrows really hasn't changed except for the addition of Bog Paddle. Sorrowmurk is more built up. There's also a little town down here. Misty Reed Post has got a little town near it. Marshtide Watch is a big change. Marshtide Watch never used to exist. It's the counterpoint to Stonard, which is here. That's Horde. That's Alliance. This, of course, would be a wonderful place to have more PvP, but of course that's not the case. They haven't done that. Harbridge, I believe, is Alliance as well now. There's Stonard. One of the biggest changes in an instance is the temple here. The Sunken Temple is what it's known as. More familiarly, even in the LFG channel, it's known as the Sunken Temple, rather than the Temple of Akamat. Or, sorry, Atal Hakar, whatever. The point is, they've really nerfed that. That instance used to be triple level. Quadruple level? Triple level. You had to go in, fight a bunch of bosses on the main level. Then you had to go up and fight bosses on the next level, as well as throw a bunch of switches in the right exact order in order to access the lower level, which was the final boss. In addition, even going in the temple, you had to fight elites in order to get to the temple itself, which was through a huge maze. They nerfed the maze. The maze still exists, but you don't have to go through it. You can get to the actual temple instance entrance without going anywhere near the majority of the maze, and that really blows goes. But anyway, the Blasted Lands. Now we have a bunch of ships out here, Alliance and Horde, because this is the fight. They've gathered together to fight in Draenor. The Dark Portal was there as an actual, it was just a portal standing on top of a mound. Come the end of Vanilla and the beginning of the Burning Crusade, it became this huge explosion because now you can go into it. But the Dark Portal, back in the day, it was actually the screenshot that they had as a loading screen. This area has built up quite a bit. It's pure Alliance, Netherguard Keep. The Horde area over here has now been overrun. If you play through this area as I'm doing with my Hunter, I just finished this area with my Hunter, and this area is still Horde, but if you come up here again in preparation for Draenor, it's no longer Horde. I can't remember if it's Alliance or if it's just Iron Horde. I think it might be Iron Horde now, which of course is evil according to Alliance and Horde. That's what's happened to that zone. Down here, this used to be a small little cupola down here. It used to be about this big. The painted area.
You have an information request.
I have an information request. Alright, and what are we requesting?
How do you turn up your draw distance like that? What is the command? Can you type it out?
As far as I know, there is no command. It's in the system interface. Let me see if I can find it. Draw distance is one of these. View distance right here. Right there. Controls how far you can see. Okay? All I have to do is put it on a higher. It's the list. There's your list. I mean, my computer's top line. They still recommend good. Screw good. As you can see, my view is brilliant at a huge range. If your computer isn't top of the line or recently made, you might have to have a lower draw distance just as a result. But if you do have the ability to crank it up, that's what I've got. Okay, it's not actually a command. It's found in the system settings under graphics, and there you go right there. Hope that helps. Yeah, I can see for miles and miles. It's true. I'm used to it now, but I remember the days of trotting along and having things come out of the gloom, which is probably what you're experiencing if you're asking that question. The Tainted Scar used to be just this area here. The whole area looked like this. It was all elites, and it was for level 60 capped characters to go in. I don't even know if there was quests. But now Blizzard has expanded this zone down here and included all this extra content. Feel free to ask any other questions you have, by the way. As I say, the wife is moderating the chat, as you can see, and she is more than happy to relay whatever needs to be relayed to me. There's a little village up here now. As you can see, I can't remember if it's neutral, horde, or alliance. I'm pretty sure it's neutral. I'm pretty sure this is a neutral location. Let's see if I'm going to get hammered out of the sky. Is there even anybody here? Might not be here because I'm going to this so late. I mean, I am beyond the 90 cap that changes the zone, so I might be phased out. But this is an alliance town down here. I know that. It's got a name? Surwich. Looks like. Yeah, Surwich. Okay. And the Red Reaches is all Naga slash Murloc. In fact, in this area, one of the few times in the game you actually have to do quests for Murlocs. That is not a movie like Quest for Fire. Quest for Murlocs is just what you have to do down here. And it's against the Naga, which also brings into question, are the Naga ever actually going to be playable race in Warcraft? I personally could care less either way, but the way the Naga have been used throughout the entirety of the game makes me disbelieve that notion. I really doubt the Naga will ever actually be a playable race in the game. That, of course, is just my personal opinion, and who knows. The Emerald Dream could be a Naga-based expansion, though. It could very well be.
That's very true.
Don't know if it will be. As you can see, we're going to be flying over some more wasted land as we go in the back entrance of another instance. Now, this instance over here is a raid, and you can actually do quests in it now, the way they've done things with Stranglethorn Vale. Northern Stranglethorn. Yay, Northern Stranglethorn. I'm just going to buzz the wall here. Zul'Gurub, what used to be a big-ass, I think it was a level 60 raid instance. Pretty sure it was level 60. As you can see, it's pretty massive. It's one of the ones that if you fly over, you can get, not as you fly over, but as you go into the Blasted Lands, you can actually accidentally get unhorsed, as it were, and plunge sheer premature death, which is always lots of fun. No, yeah, exactly. Not. They have changed the zone by adding in a goblin town. The Venture Company base camp is a goblin-based town. And everything else in the zone is pretty much the same until you get down to Fort Livingston. So I'm going to get to there. We can see the goblin-based town in the distance there. I'm not going to get too much closer to it. But there's the goblin-based town. And then if we go down here, you're going to see Fort Livingston, which is a tiny little fort. But it borders the edge of the shattering of the zone into two zones, kind of like the Barrens, with Northern Barrens and Southern Barrens. There's a little maelstrom in the middle. And Fort Livingston is right there. The Gromgal base camp is over there. There, actually, you can see a Zeppelin. There's a Zeppelin probably from Orgrimmar right there. There's the Sundering. That's what they call this, the Sundering. There's one like this in Darkshore as well, which we'll be seeing when we get over to the other side. Now we have the Garubashi Arena in front of me. Was a deliberate PvP location that was placed specifically for people to PvP in. Still gets use occasionally. The thing that gets done the most down here right now, though, is the stupid fishing contest, the Stranglethorn Fishing Extravaganza. Still gets run every Sunday at 4 p.m. realm time. I'm still trying to get it done. I tried to get it done last week in order to get the Dread Pirate Ring. I still got work to do. These oil fields out here are new. They are from the Cataclysm expansion. as the goblins have become an actual playable race. Their storyline has become larger in the game. I'm just going to quickly take a trip over here, over Jagero Isle. The reason I'm doing this is because there's a rare battle pet, the baby ape. If it happens to be raining on Jagero Isle, then there's baby apes all over the place to be got. If it's not raining, then you can't get them at all. It's the only way to get that battle pet. There's another one in Northrend, same thing. I think it's a snowy owl. Can only be obtained from the correct zone when it's snowing. These boats haven't changed. The quests on them have. The quests over here used to be quite extensive. They're still fairly extensive. They also involve going up to the oil rigs. But the majority of the quest line has been altered considerably. You actually have to join the South Sea Buccaneers in order to do those quests now. And here we have Booty Bay. The statue out here got damaged as a result of the cataclysm. But as you can see, for a town that's right on the edge of the water, except for some debris and a little bit of building over here, a little bit of scaffolding, the town survived completely unscathed. I mean, let's be honest here, people. Everybody who saw the movie that shows the cataclysm beginning showed a huge wave going over the Dark Shore area and a huge wave going over that statue right there on that island. So how the hell Booty Bay managed to survive unscathed is beyond me. However, I think the actual answer, and I do believe this is the answer, they felt really bad because Booty Bay was actually the beginning of the plague. Those people who were playing the game right at the end of Burning Crusade, just before Wrath of the Lich King came out, I'm pretty sure that's the timeline that it happened in. Or remember the plague coming to Booty Bay, and then because of people being in Booty Bay and flying elsewhere, it overtook the entire world. It was an Azeroth world event, the plague, and it was a lot of fun. It was great fun. It wasn't so much fun if you had the plague, because it screwed you up. It ruined your... I think it lowered your attack ability and stuff. I can't remember the actual effects. But by having the plague and interacting with anybody in any other city, be it a vendor or an actual player, it put the plague on them, whether or not it was visible or not. It put the plague on them, and then anybody interacting with that character or NPC took the plague with them without even knowing it. I contracted the plague pretty early in those days, and that was one of the neatest things they've done in the game in a long time. They haven't done anything like that in a while. So there's the Southern Stranglethorn map. Hardwrench's Hideaway is again another goblin town. They've expanded the goblins simply because, as I said, they are now a playable race and they need a little bit more history. And you can't go to the goblin start zone unless you're an actual goblin. Just like you can't go to the Pandaren start zone unless you're an actual panda. And once you leave those zones behind, you can no longer access them in any way that I know of anyway from the game while playing it online. Okay, so that takes care of the Eastern Kingdoms. Now we're going to take ourselves over to, I'm going to start with Orgrimmar. I think will be our entrance into the Kalimdor zone. Now I'm not going to be staying a lot in the zones that I've done my hunter in. That's why this part of the stream is obviously very long, so I'm covering everything. This part of the stream is not going to be quite as long because you can see all the zones I've already gone through with my WoW 1 to 100 hunter videos that are on my YouTube channel. That's Gutrend, Gutrend. You'll be able to see all the things that I've done with my hunter, including going through the zones that I'm only going to be lightly touching on with this character in flight. We're going to start with looking at Orgrimmar. Interestingly enough, the Orgrimmar map hasn't actually changed. It still looks pretty much the same, except with the addition of this little area here on the map. The majority of the map looks virtually the same as it did. The city, on the other hand, is completely different. Orgrimmar used to have a cave system. This used to be the cave. The drag used to be underground. Okay? This was a roof not an open-air event. It was a roof. Up here you have towers for the Zeppelins and your Flightmaster. Now the Flightmaster, I'm trying to remember where the hell the Flightmaster was in Horde. I think it was a tower right behind the main building. I think, here's the main building, which has changed a lot. I think the flight path used to be just a tower that was right in this area that I'm in right now. I'm pretty sure it was. But then when Cataclysm came, they altered how Orgrimmar looks. They made this huge. In fact, I think it might be that might actually be what the tower became. And this building down here was the original central area, which wasn't even for the leader of the Horde. The central area here was actually, if you can believe it, the original auction house. Now the auction house is in this big huge building here. The bank is over there. I think the bank used to be over here and the auction house was here. Either way, they changed that.
Yep.
And Thrall's command post was in the Valley of Wisdom because he's a shaman, which makes sense. And it was this building right here. This used to be Thrall's command post. Now it's an inn. In fact, it's my chosen inn while using Orgrimmar as a base. The reason that is because nowhere else in all of Orgrimmar do you have an inn right beside a weaponsmith who allows you to repair, right beside an auctioneer, right beside a banker, and close to the elevator that now takes you up to the flight area. There is no place in all of Orgrimmar that is this close to all these things at the same time. The front entrance is close. The inn and the auction house at the front entrance of Orgrimmar are kind of close to the elevator there, but the bank's further away, and the repairs guys are on the other side of the main chief stronghold. Here, it's across a small piece of land and you can stay mounted between the two. You don't have to dismount to go to the bank or the auctioneer. You have to dismount if you're in the front of the city in order to get into those buildings. So this is my preferred flight path, or sorry, not flight path, but my preferred Hearthstone inn for Orgrimmar, just in case anyone cares. Okay? Another big change to Orgrimmar, other than the flight paths and the introduction of the Zeppelins being inside, is this part of the Valley of Wisdom. This is the area that I'm mentioning up here. This part of the Valley of Wisdom is the Cataclysm section. Okay, that's how you get to all your Cataclysm areas. You can see which ones I've done with this character. You can only open up the ones you've accessed. So with this character, I never went to the water area, therefore the water area is not open to me. I think once you hit the cap of Cataclysm, it should just automatically let you go anywhere, but that's Blizzard. And once again, we have the balloon, which tells you where the Pandaria access area is. It's right down there. That's the portal to Honeybrew Village. Now let's go over here to the Goblin Slums. Now the Goblin Slums are there for two reasons, actually. Reason number one, again, with Cataclysm came goblins needing more of a backstory. So the goblins have that in a zone that I'm going to be checking out in just a second. But the goblins also have this area, and the trolls are also in this area exclusively, because of the storyline behind Cataclysm, which is Gromash being racist against the troll. It's Vol'jin, who is now the new Horde Supreme Leader.
He's an ass.
After Gromash kills Blaine, I think Blaine Thunderhoof is the kid's name. Yeah. No, Blaine Thunderhoof, I believe, is the one who took after the father. After Gromash killed the leader of the Tarren. I might have my lore wrong then. I know people are going to be all over me if I do, so I'm admitting that I might have that wrong. But as a result, Gromash reluctantly allowed the trolls and the goblins to still remain within the walls of Orgrimmar as long as they stay to their valley. And this is why you have the Goblin Slums and the troll area here. And of course, as you got closer to the siege of Orgrimmar, the trolls were evicted from Orgrimmar. There were no longer trolls. So that was a huge change to the game at the time. But now the Goblin Slum still exists, and the Valley of Spirits is still all troll-based, and Vol'jin has left this area for them, so they still represent the trolls without a problem here. Okay, so now we're heading north, out of the Orgrimmar area. We're in Durotar now. Now, I've already done Durotar with my hunter. Some of the changes are this area being water-filled and Thunder Ridge being underwater. That's a major change. The only other really major change, other than them giving us a stupid flight path from Sen'jin Village up to Razor Hill, is the fact that the Echo Isles is now its own unique troll starting spot. They no longer start in the Valley of Trials. That is storyline based again because Bromash was racist against the trolls, so he wouldn't let them start in the same spot that the orcs started. Interesting lore, that.
That's right.
I wish I knew my Alliance lore half as well. I know that the Alliance lore involves the king being assassinated and the prince running away to Pandaria. I know that happened. That was a result of the Cataclysm. And then the prince is actually a character that you meet up with, either Horde or Alliance. You meet up with the prince in Cataclysm, or in Pandaria to do stuff in order to put him back on his throne. That's because everybody's getting together to go after Gromash, as per. Okay, so that's the difference in the Barrens, in Durotar, is the watery area there, this area here. There's also now a, I can't call it a caravan, I can call it like a riverboat that allows you to go up here from the Ratchet area, which is right down here.
Oh, yeah.
That riverboat that goes up and down the river there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the other major differences in the zone. Right now we're flying north. We're going to skirt the Orgrimmar area here. And we're going to... Orgrimmar is around the other side of those cliffs. We're going to head up to Azshara, which is really a changed zone. And one of the biggest wastes of space that I think exists in the game now, a deliberate waste of space, Gallywix's Pleasure Palace. If I'm not mistaken, I don't even think there's quests up there. There might be, I could be wrong. I might have to follow the Azshara quest line all the way to the end. But I'm pretty certain that there's nothing really there except for it exists and that's about it. But the zone has changed a lot. Azshara was one of the incomplete zones. This and Silithus in particular. And I guess the Eastern Plaguelands around the Stratholme area didn't actually have much in the way of quests back when Vanilla was out. But Azshara was one of the worst offenders as far as a zone that was incomplete. You had some quests here around a horde town called Valarmok. And there was an Alliance town which was to the south, which was close to the back of Orgrimmar, which I don't think exists anymore at all. I don't think it exists in any form. Blackmaw Hold was a place where you could also get Timbermaw Hold rep, but you had to get it the same way you got it for Timbermaw Hold, which was killing people in order for them to drop the little heirlooms that you took and turned in bunches in order to get rep. See, this is what people had to do back in the day when the game was hard. We actually had to grind shit. We had to grind in order to get through Timbermaw Hold and get the best recipes for armor in the game. We had to actually go and grind Stratholme in order to get wool cloth or silk cloth, depending on which level you were and which rep level you... It wasn't which level you were, it was which rep level you were trying to attain, in order to turn in at the major cities to get reputation with those major cities in order to drop the prices so you could buy things without going broke. Back in the days when the game was a challenge. Now, if you want reputation, all you have to do is slap on a tabard and go looking for group and instances. And all of a sudden you're exalted with Orgrimmar and you don't have to pay a whole hell of a lot in order to get flying.
I know.
It's a load of crap, people. It's a load of crap.
It is, because we did it the hard way.
We were playing this when it was hard. Andy joined the game. She only joined the game in Burning Crusade. Was it Burning Crusade you started, or was it Lich King you started? Either way, she started the game late, okay, in comparison. I was playing it during vanilla. She never played the game during vanilla, but she did play the game before it was nerfed in Cataclysm. So she is a veteran of the original Scholomance. She's a veteran of Zul'Farrak when you couldn't ride on mounts inside the zone. She was a veteran of Camp Tarayo, which I'm getting to. I'm going to be getting to that and complaining about that in a few minutes. She knows what it's like to go to the Barrens with only one flight path, okay? She knows the joy of having a second flight path installed in the Barrens. She knows the Barrens as it used to be. Unfortunately, she also is a veteran of the Barrens chat, which has become trade chat, which is why I don't stay in cities all that long anymore. But she knows the game when it was hard, and back when the game was hard, it really was. Understood. Yes, thank you for that note. Okay, so as I was saying about Azshara here, the edges of Azshara here and here are fractured because of what Deathwing did when he came ashore. But for the most part, the biggest change in this zone, other than Bilgewater Harbor, which is a purely goblin-based town. In fact, I think it's a goblin. As far as I'm concerned, it's a goblin city. It's their own damn city. It's right just north of Orgrimmar, which makes it ridiculous. But it's a goblin-based city. And I don't remember the pandas getting... I mean, the pandas have their city, but it's the expansion city. You know what I mean? Silvermoon City, when Burning Crusade came out, Silvermoon City was not an expansion city. Shatrath was the expansion city. Silvermoon was just a starting zone city and an extra excuse to have people go over there. It's changed. It's changed immensely. But, you know, whatever. Just like the Draenei have the Exodar. The Exodar is the Draenei city. It came out in Burning Crusade. It's not a major city. It's Shatrath that's the city. So why they put a goblin city just outside Orgrimmar doesn't make any sense, but that's how it looks. It isn't a goblin city, but it might as well be for the size of it and for the amount of stuff you can do in it. It might as well be its own little city. But the quest never extended beyond Valarmok. And is Telendra's Point? That might have been the Horde. That Valarmok, I think, was the Horde. Telendra's Point might have been the Alliance, and they've moved it. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go back and take a look at the maps. I have the original maps of Azshara, so I can easily post them with comments. But the quest never extended beyond Blackmaw Hold or this little lake here, Lake Minar. Anything beyond that, what you had patrolling here were giants. You had maybe one or two quests that would take you out to the very edge of the Ravencrest Monument area and back, but it was nothing much. And same over here, you'd have a quest or two that would take you out there, and then you have to go back. But you didn't have piles of quests. I mean, I think in order to complete Azshara now properly, you have to do over 100 quests. Back in the day, if there was 30, I would have been surprised. I'm just saying. So, we're going to head over here and take a look. This mining area is a result of the goblins getting involved in mining. I don't even know if it's goblins there who are doing it. Mountainfoot strip mine, I'm pretty sure it's goblins, but I also think it's gone wrong in some way. Then we've got this. I love this area. I don't think there's any quests that go up here, which is such a shame, because it's a wasted area. But look how pretty this is. It's a golf course and a swimming pool. It's a resort. It's a damn resort. I love this. I love this. There's even a little racetrack over here, isn't it? Oh no, that might be... I don't know why I have a racing flag there. It's obviously golfing. But isn't that hilarious? I just love this. I wish they had golf as a mini-game in here. That would be great. That would be just great. And here he's obviously building his facade, because his facade is a giant face. There it is. You can see it clearly there. With a top hat, of course. Isn't that great? I hope they finish that and actually have things to do in that at some point. The ruins here, not the upper ruins, but the lower ruins are underwater. This area has changed. The questing there, there was quests there to go against the Naga. See, the Naga have always been evil. It hasn't mattered whether you've been Alliance or Horde, the Naga have always been evil. And this area down here, you can see the edge of the Goblin area there. But this area down here is, yeah, they are goblins, I'm sorry, brain fart. These ruins were not as separated from the land as they are, and this area here actually flowed better into those ruins. So they've kind of changed it a little bit. You really see the face from here. Okay, so here we have Mount Hyjal. Mount Hyjal. Yay. We're not going to Mount Hyjal. I'm mentioning it because it's here. There's the zone in all its glory. We're going to take a look at it. There's Mount Hyjal. Mount Hyjal is a cataclysm zone, so just like the Twilight Highlands, I didn't really go into it at all. I'm not going into this zone either. I'm skimming it. Oh look! The Trial of Fire. That's actually a portal that can be used. This is where the trials are. I didn't know the trials actually had a real world location. There's someone down there doing them. The trials are a teleportable location from this tower, right here. And if you do the trials without taking certain damages from them, you get an achievement, which I have. I've obtained that on... I think Pyrosia is the one who actually obtained that achievement. Now we're trying to get up. It's quite a flight up to get into the Winterspring area. The Winterspring area is quite high above the area because it was meant to lead into Mount Hyjal like it does, but it's still a difference in level. You can't go from Winterspring to Mount Hyjal. You're about almost 20 levels too low. Here's Winterspring. There we go. Winterspring hasn't changed. In fact, I'm willing to say that Winterspring hasn't changed at all. At all. Except now, if you go across this line from the snow to the non-snow, you're going into Mount Hyjal and you're going from level 60 to level 80. Honest to God, I think the only change is this gate. And that gate might have been there too. You could go to you could get the Dark Whisper Gorge to come up. You couldn't obviously get any of the map to come up because there was no map. So when you hit the map, even here, you'd still be seeing you'd be seeing Winterspring, not Mount Hyjal at all. But this zone, I honest to God don't think has changed one bit. I don't think the quests have changed. I don't think that, I can tell by looking that there's not one aspect of the land that has changed in any way. Not in any way at all. This might be the one zone that survived Cataclysm unscathed. I don't think they altered even the quest lines, how they play out. I don't think they altered a thing. Okay. We're going to head towards the Moonglade area because the Moonglade area has changed slightly. It's not huge changes either. All the changes happened in Felwood and in Darkshore. I'm also probably not going to bother flying over the Telodrassil area because really nothing's changed there either, and other than Darnassus being there, which again also has not changed at all, there isn't really anything to do over there to really show any differences, except to be able to say, oh look, with the mount you can fly from the mainland to Telodrassil without having to worry about being overly fatigued. In fact, you can do that with a slow flying mount. You don't even need a fast flying mount. This flying mount should be going 310% is my flight speed. You don't need that. You don't need 310. All you need is the 200 or whatever the hell it is. Now Moonglade. Moonglade used to be a druid specific zone. Okay? Nighthaven was a druid specific town, kind of. And the only thing that really ever happens in Moonglade happens here near the Barrow Dens. Oops, that's not right. There we go. Here's the Barrow Den right here. One of my first large-scale outdoor raid events happened in this zone, killing off a creature by the name of Omen. And I don't know whether that event still happens. I think it's during the Lunar Festival that's supposed to happen. I don't know if it even exists anymore in the game. But wow, what an event. I mean, I was a tank and I was nowhere near geared the way the tank that was tanking it was. I can't remember his name now. I think he was the top tank on the server, but of course this isn't the same server. That was on Kilrog. And he was an incredible tank. He tanked Omen. He had a row. It was madass. There was, if this area right here was the guy and tanking, Omen was taller than the screen. Okay, and then over here was a whole row of healers, and all they were doing was keeping him healed, and then if Omen did an AoE, they'd spot heal everybody else. And then back here you had a row of just mages, hurling fire and frost spells through the air at him like a salvo. And then over here, where I am now, there was a whole line of hunters with flaming arrows and all sorts of shit flying through the air. It was excellent. It was just amazing. And around the base in the front, you had a whole bunch of guys doing DPS. It was just awesome. It was magnificent. And it was one of the holiday events. Before there was holiday event achievements, it was a holiday event. And my God, it was memorable. It's still one of my favorite memories of the game. Taking down Omen. He had the kind of experience points that you saw on bosses before they nerfed the experience points with the release of Warlords. He had like 2 million K experience. I mean, the number was stupid high. Stupid high. Just amazing. Okay. Now, this is kind of interesting. If the person who was asking about the draw distance still happens to be in the chat, here's something interesting. I know it's broken at the top, but that's the world tree. That's Tel'Adrassil, right there. I can see it from here. More specifically, I can see it from here, and this is the tree. I can see it from all the way over here. Okay? I'm also not going to the Blood Mistile or the Azure Mistile in case anybody's interested. I'm not taking the time to go over there. It's Alliance. You can see the maps. I haven't been over there at all with this character. I do have a character. My Gutrend character has in fact gone over and revealed all this. The Exodar, which is the Draenei city. I'm not bothering with that. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody can see that I'm seeing Tel'Adrassil from here. That's my draw distance, in case anyone's at all interested. Okay, so we're going to fly more into the Darkshore zone. Darkshore got ravaged. Got ravaged pretty hard. Now, the area in the northern section where I'm in, to my knowledge, hasn't really changed that much. What really changed in particular was down in the Oberdeen area. If anybody remembers the video for the actual Cataclysm event when Deathwing took flight, they'll remember that, again, one of the waves featured was the wave that took out Oberdeen. That's not Oberdeen there, that's the town previous to it. We're getting to Oberdeen now. I'm going to keep my height, just because I don't want to get screwed. I believe this town has taken over from Oberdeen as being the main Alliance town in this zone. Oberdeen has quests going to it, but no longer has anything there. I'm pretty sure this is where the dock is now. Or maybe it's a flight. Anyway. Okay, we're going to follow the water, though. The water goes to another. This should look familiar to anybody who was looking at this when I was flying in Stranglethorn. Because here we have another one of these wrens in the world with a maelstrom in the middle. I love the seagulls flying around it. That's true. Maw of the Void is what it's called. Wonderful, wonderfully looking. It looks wonderful graphically. It's just, you know, a their thing. All the waters in the zone are wider and more shattered than they used to be. The main road going south actually no longer goes smoothly. You can see there's the main road going south. It's shattered there. shattered again there. You have to know how to get to and from places now, as far as staying on the road. And of course, here we are. There's part of the docks from Oberdeen. Oberdeen had a huge long dock going out, which made a good place for Horde to be able to get to Vladrisil to get reveals and to evade Darnassus. Invading Darnassus was always fun. But as you can see there's the ruins. That's what's left of the Oberdeen area. It's got its own little elite. Look at that. He's skulled to me, but look how little hit points he has. Oh my god. If I look at him hard, he'll die. But yeah, that's what's happened to Oberdeen. It's become a complete wrecked city. Nothing's left. Like I said, there are a couple of quests that go to it now. And as you can see here, we have this whirlwind. Look at those trees. This is very reminiscent. I don't know about anybody else, but to me, this is the most reminiscent part of the entire game of the Wizard of Oz. Just look at the way shit's flying around there. Isn't that brilliant? That's Wizard of Oz type stuff right there, folks. That's what I think of this. It's called the Eye of the Vortex. There's quests to be done down there, and I think you actually have to fly up in this to get up. Yeah, there's the dragons at the top. Wonderful stuff, though. They really did a good thing with that. The way things are whizzing around.
Why
Look at that,
would
eh?
you do that?
Look at that. Whoosh!
Why would you fly through something like that?
Because it's frickin' fun is why you do things, folks. Why does anybody do anything? Because it's, well, okay, things like work are mandatory, things like work are needed, but why do you do anything that's not money-based? Because it's fun to do, that's why. That's why. Alright, we're going to quickly stop in Felwood. Felwood's done a lot of changes, but before I get too far south and things start becoming very routine, let's quickly take a bop over here into Felwood and see what's changed in here. We're going to take a look at this through the eyes of the map more than anything else. Felwood was a semi-undeveloped zone. The big deal was Timbermaw Hold. That's the rep. Timbermaw Hold leads into Winterspring. Okay? There's a cave. Where's Winterspring? There's Winterspring. There's the other end of Timbermaw Hold right there. Okay? And inside Timbermaw Hold, there's a vendor, and that vendor used to sell the to-the-tits armor recipes. Like, I mean, really the armor recipes you want in the game. But in order to get them, you had to grind in this area right beside it, the Felpaw village area. You had to grind like a son of a bitch. Talon Branch Glade was the Alliance town. And down here, you had Blood Venom Post, which used to be the Horde town. It's been destroyed. Now there's a bunch of flight paths. There's one there, Wildheart Point, and Whisperwind Grove, and Iron Tree Clearing. I think Emerald Sanctuary might have had a flight path, but the main flight path was Blood Venom Post, and from there you had to walk the rest of the way, or ride the rest of the way on your ground mount. The rest of the zone is fairly different. The Iron Tree Woods is still there, but this Whispering Grove thing is completely different. These spots you're seeing on the map that are oddly colored, that's because of archaeology stuff, so don't worry about that. Now, the most interesting thing about this area is Jaedenar. Jaedenar has admittedly been said by Blizzard was originally going to be an instance. Jaedenar still exists in the game. Jaedenar has quests now. It didn't in vanilla. In vanilla, you could go in and go into this huge freaking cave, and there were quests at the entrance to it, and a little bit into it, but nowhere near as deep as it goes now. Now, you go into an enormous cave system there. Absolutely freaking enormous. And it really, truly feels like you're inside an instance that never quite got there. I think they just figured they had enough instances already, and they didn't bother finishing it off. Which is a shame, because it's a really interesting zone right now. Really interesting section of the area. As I said, this used to be where the Horde town was. It's now ruins and slimes and zombies. This was the Horde town. As you can see, it's got Horde buildings, but it's no longer inhabited by the Horde. See, that building's actually got slime in it, and a named person to kill. This used to be the town's inn. This used to be the flight master. And that used to be a forge area where you could do blacksmithing and stuff. But the whole area got completely devastated because they decided it should be. No idea why. I don't think it furthered the story any. And it certainly didn't further anything else about it. Here's Jaedenar. Now, am I near the main entrance? I might just be. I'm wondering if I can go in the main entrance of Jaedenar and show the extent of the caves, whether they've actually done that with this section or not. Flying up around here. Okay, the main entrance is right here. This is the entrance into Jaedenar. I'm going to go inside Shadowhold, that's the name of the place. Damn, it doesn't show up as a map. Some Cataclysm and beyond areas, if you go underground, you can actually see the map. But trust me, this thing is massive. It starts off very much like the Barrow Dens start off, but then when you get into the bottom of what would be the main entrance to the Barrow Den, and it's supposed to expand into the Barrow Den-esque area, it does not expand that way. It goes into a completely unique cave system that I have not seen replicated elsewhere in the game. Most of the cave systems in the game have been replicated elsewhere, simply for expedience, maybe to rush because, okay, we've got to hurry up and get this out or else people are going to be pissed that the next expansion isn't ready. Could be that for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but specifically, that zone, that area, as I have never seen replicated elsewhere in the entire game of Warcraft. So that's neat. Okay, I'm just getting some height so I can get into the next zone here. This next zone should be the Ashenvale area. Now this is where I started really working with my hunter. So I don't have tons to say about Ashenvale, however I will fly over the volcanic area, which I did not really cover much of whilst I was here doing my leveling. The biggest changes here are Zormgar Outpost has become almost a city on its own. It's got walls like Brill has. Maestra's Post has become a quest hub area instead of just being a waypoint on the road. I'm going to fly down there and just take a look at it. There's the post there. That's all it used to be, was this thing. Whoops. There we go. Oh, that's not even the right thing. That can't be Maestra's Post now. No, it's not. Haha, Maestra's Post is over there. There we go. I see it now. It used to be just a point on the road as you came down out of the Highlands. Maestra's Post is this thing right here. Oh, this thing, right there it is, right there. The road goes through it. That was Maestra's Post back in the day. Now, it's a quest hub. Okay? As you can see, it's a quest hub. There's an actual war going on down here. So, obviously, it's a little different. Astranar is still, if I'm not mistaken, the Alliance main town here. I don't know if the Alliance has gotten more of a town or whether the Horde has more of a town. Maestra's Post actually started from this gate and went down to the gate that you can just... anyway, it's down there. Point is, it used to literally be a post. That was it. I'm going to check and see how Astranar is doing. There it is through the trees. Used to have to really go wide around this place. You have to go right wide to the south here on the shore. I don't think Astranar is what it used to be. A lot of fishing nodes here.
Just be careful before you do it.
Oh, okay, we got Alliance. We got Alliance. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're at Hellscream's Watch now. Hellscream's Watch is the new Horde area.
Yeah, that was not there.
No, didn't exist. It's obviously an attack against Astranar. They cut down the trees so they can see the city. I don't know why there aren't catapults up here. There used to be, obviously, but I don't know why they're not up here. They're at Maestra's Post instead. That makes sense to nobody in particular. Another thing that never used to be here is this dude. This dude up here, Lord Magmathar. And this whole eruption was caused by Deathwing. Thunder Peak is the name of this place. So yeah, we got a whole volcano happening here. This was never in the Ashenvale at all either. As you can see, it's pretty extensive. The only other real changes in the zone out of the Warsong Lumber Camp is actually a place. Silverwing Refuge is now a place that actually provides quests that head south. Not a lot of people know this, but this pathway into Stonetalon Mountains always existed. It's just not a lot of people really knew about it. It was always there, though. It was just a tunnel. Back in the day, it was just a tunnel. Kind of like the tunnel that goes from Arathi into the Hinterlands. It's just a tunnel.
Yep.
But it used to exist. Now it's a broken out area and it goes right through into Stonetalon Mountain. Which is where we're heading next. We're heading down to Stonetalon. Let's take a look at Kalimdor and see how we're progressing. We've taken care of the northern areas, at least the northern areas that I'm going to. And we're now heading into the northern barrens and the Stonetalon Mountain area. We're going to take a look at these, and then actually I think what I might do is I'm going to arc over to the northern barrens first. That way I can go through Stonetalon quickly and head down to Desolaas, because Desolaas I did not talk about as a hunter, nor did I talk about Feralaas. I certainly haven't talked much about Mulder. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to curve down and around this way, and then down into the end area. Sound good? Good. I'm glad everybody agrees. Okay, we're cruising over the height of Ashenvale Hill into the northern barrens. Now again, I have talked about the barrens and what's changed. That can easily be found in the videos that are found on the YouTube channel Gutrend. This area up here in particular used to be right before Warlords of Draenor came out. Actually, this was just preceding the assault on the Siege of Orgrimmar. This was before the final patch for the Pandaria expansion. This area was an area that was put in order to gather supplies in preparation to attack Grommash and Orgrimmar proper. Okay, that's what that area is for. The rest area, as I said, I have discussed about it. The water area, the difference in the area here between Durotar and the Northern Barrens. The fact that the Northern Barrens has been sliced in half because it used to be all one zone. The fact that Frey Island used to be useful for hunters and is now just a piece of garbage, nothing there to talk about. The crossroads still being your major flight path. Back when the Barrens originally started, there was a flight path in Ratchet, but Ratchet's on the edge of the zone. I mean, how does that really count? To be in the center of the zone where all the quests were, you had to be at the crossroads. The crossroads was your flight path. In fact, I don't even remember, I don't think Ratchet even had a flight path in the beginning. I think all it had was a dock that takes you to Booty Bay. And then the Southern Barrens, of course, the ruins of Tarayo, that's where the second flight path was put in. And when that was put in, it was like Blizzard had given us a gift. Because even now, you can see the size of the Barrens. That's a lot of zone. Okay? It stretches the length of Durotar and the length of Dustwallow Marsh. To put that into perspective, it also spanned the length of Mulgore and the length of Stonetalon Mountain. Okay? It used to be an enormous zone. Enormous. So when they put a second flight path in, that was a gift. When they split in half, I'm still undecided as to whether that was a positive thing or a negative thing, because the split in half, storyline-wise for Cataclysm, isn't bad, but it gave them the opportunity to make a lot of changes, and not all of them were for the better. And again, I've discussed this on the other streams. Stonetalon Mountain. Stonetalon Mountain is now accessed through Ashenvale into this is an entirely horde zone now. It used to be half and half. Sunrock Retreat was here, and Stonetalon Peak had a location as well for the Alliance. So it used to be half and half, with a lot of questing in the central zone in the Cragpool Lake and Windshear Crag area, another area that was Malkajin, that was Troll. Sunrock Retreat was the main flight path, and from there you could go up into the mountains and follow a path that went down and ultimately led into Desolace with the Charred Vale. The Charred Vale is a lot more than it used to be. That's the area that I haven't gone into. So I'm going to head that way to start. I also didn't go to Sunrock Retreat. Sunrock Retreat is a Tauren zone. There it is. You can see there the Tauren themed buildings. And originally it was meant as a hidden path to go up here and over the mountain and down into the Charred Vale and into Desolace. This area here is an extension of Mulgore, I think. I don't even think there's any quest to go up here. There's a level 26 mob. Emerald Spirit. Wait a second. Emerald Spirit. Is there a... There isn't a portal to the Emerald Dream in here, is there? I'm not seeing one, but that's where it would be. Would be right here, if there was one. It's this kind of area that's leading to the Emerald Dream stuff. Right now, I don't think there's anything actually there except for maybe the ability to fish. I don't know if there's any actual quest to take you up into that area. So here we are with the Charred Vale. The Charred Vale used to go down towards the sea. It used to actually slope downwards. Now, with the upheaval that's happened in the Barrens, the high point is now over here, and I don't even know if the Harpy quest, there used to be a buttload of Harpy quests down here that ultimately led to killing a named Harpy elite at the end of it, and I don't even know if that's even in existence anymore. Now Desolace used to live up to its name in that it was a desolate piece of crap. It used to be a very boring zone. That big feature was one of the largest instances in the game at level 60, as well as one of the big times, I think it was the first time you actually had the ability to choose a side in any battle other than Horde versus Alliance. Okay? Nigel's Point is the Alliance original base. Shadowprey Village was the Horde's original base, with a spot in the middle, which I think that Carnum's Glade now replaces, but which it was down, it was closer to, it was in this area. Oh, there it is, right there. Ghostwalker Post, right beside it. Ghostwalker Post was the Tauren Central Zone for the Horde. That was the central area. I think that the Alliance might have been able to go there as well. I'm not sure. But the Alliance had Nigel's Point and the Horde had Shadowprey Village. This area in the middle never used to exist in the form that it did. You had to choose between the Magrum and the Gelkas. If you chose Gelkas, then you'd be going up here killing everybody. If you choose Magrum, then you'd be going down here killing everybody. Lots of fun to be had, plus a really elite zone over here. The Valley of Bones was a challenging area to go into because it was all unique, elite skeletons. This area was just flat, plain area. The Kodo Graveyard still exists. There's some Naga quest that goes up here off to the Ranasjar Isle. This is still Naga up there, but the flight path is new. This is the same as it was. The thing that changed is this growth spurt in the middle. So this area used to have some trees, but it was never the oasis. You see these flat areas? These trees weren't even there. This was flat shit. The trees might not have been there because I didn't have a computer that really had the graphics, so maybe the trees were there and I didn't see them. But this was just flat crap. Just like what you're seeing below me, the whole zone was like that. Uninterrupted, flat, boring crap. The oasis that sprung up here, the Cenarian Wildlands as they're calling it, that grew up overnight as a result of Cataclysm. in an effort, I think, to get Blizzard to have people quest over here. It's an interesting zone. I have done the quests here. There's a battle pet tamer over here. It's not a bad zone per se, but it's not as good as it used to be, because the choice between Gelkus and Magrum is no longer an important choice. The war is no longer important. It was no longer a big deal to choose one or the other. In fact, I know the quests are probably still there in part at least, but I don't think there's any emphasis at all on it anymore. The emphasis might be on the Coven here. This is your first real involvement with the demons, the Burning Legion, who are going to eventually, ultimately, at the end of Warcraft, at the final expansion pack that's released, the Burning Legion will be the final bad guys. The leader of the Burning Legion, the ability to stop the demons in their planet conquest across the universe, that will be the final expansion pack. There is no question that the Burning Legion is ultimately where the entire game is headed. And this is your first real big encounter with a zone or a section of a zone that's been taken over specifically by demons. Okay, we're now going to swing down into Feralas. I believe the Featherwind Stronghold is one of the things I want to talk about down here. There's a Feathermoon Stronghold. That used to be a starting section. I'm trying to remember what race started there. It was an Alliance starting section, I know that. But I can't remember. It's actually, it doesn't show up anymore. This is part of it. It used to be these two islands. Okay? And this was part of it. It doesn't show up anymore as anything. But you can see the remains of it. It's now underwater, is the intention. But it used to be both these islands, and it used to be a starting section, a newbie zone, that would have you going to the Feathermoon Stronghold on the land before being ported to, I believe, it would take you to Stormwind. I can't remember for certain. Dire Maul's always been Dire Maul. That instance was there as a level 60 capped instance back in the day. So that hasn't changed. But one of the first things you're going to notice if you come into this zone and you're really paying attention to the map is that down over here there's something that's marked off on the map very specifically. You can see it right here. It's called Dreambow. And you'll never guess what it is, folks. That's right. Yet another portal that goes nowhere. That's right. And this dude used to be elite. These guys used to be level 60 elites. All of them. Okay?
And evil.
And, yeah. Used to be a huge deal coming in this area. But as you can see, there are many of these portals. What's Blizzard going to do with them? Are they planning on doing anything with them? Who knows? Now, I'm coming... Yeah, maybe they are, which is stupid waste. Now we're coming in the Twin Colossals. There used to be quests. I don't know if they're still there. They would teleport you up and down the Twin Colossals doing quests on the top to kill guys. Up on the top of these spires, I guess would be the best name. Well, there's nobody up here, so I'm assuming that there's no quest. This is the one that you'd come up in particular. So I guess they've taken those quests out completely. You know, sometimes I feel like Blizzard is so determined to make things new and easy that they forget the reason why people started playing the game and have been playing the game for a decade. I think they've forgotten to leave the fun in it. Sometimes that's how I feel. It's about getting the level cap and trying to see that expansion pack's endgame. It's about raiding. It's about partying up and raiding. The legendary quest lines, they're all about raiding. That's all they're about, is raiding. They're not about anything else. They're about getting your ass into raids. Right? Getting your ass into heroics. It's their way of saying, okay, you guys have been with us for 10 years, and you guys really know how to play the game inside and out. But instead of creating anything really unique for you, we're just going to make you do heroics. which is the same damn dungeon with maybe an extra mechanic on the bosses and an extra boss to kill if you're lucky. And you're just going to do that, and we're going to call it a day, and you're going to be satisfied. Meanwhile, over here, on the other hand, we're going to give everybody flight paths and caravans. We're going to take away the need to actually level up your character to 90. We're going to let you buy the next upgrade to the game, and you're going to be able to take one of your characters from level 1 to level 90 automatically, because doing actual work to get to level 90, where's the fun in actually playing the game? So we're going to boost you up to 90, and then when you get to 90, we're going to make you do raids. Nothing but raids, and then heroics. And then the heroics give you gear to do more raiding, and then you're going to be happy with the raiding then, because, oh yeah, don't forget, we've nerfed that too. It's called LFR. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that, folks. Looking for raid. Really? Yes, really. So we don't even trust you people who are long-time players to actually play the game long enough to be able to get your raid gear on your own. We assume that you're going to take the easy way out because you're all pussies. And that's what we expect. So that's what's going to happen, and you're going to like it. And if you don't like it, well, then you can stop playing the game after 10 years of investure. Right? That's pretty much the way people are being treated by Blizzard now. Either you're a newbie and you should be handed things on a platter, or you've been with the game for a number of years, but they don't care enough about you to make anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, the raids have been excellent. The raids have been amazing. But what if you don't have time to get 40 people together or 20 people together? Oh, well, we'll scale the raids down so you can do it with as few as 10 people. Okay, well, there are some people who are shut-ins who play the game very much, but they don't actually have time to be in a guild. Their schedule, like mine, affects the ability to raid with a group of people. So 5 people, even getting together 5 people is a bit. Well, then what we'll do is we'll make all those little instances, we'll give them heroic and now mythic levels, so you can, feel like you're actually making progress when in fact all you're doing is redoing the same instances you've been doing for years. Oh, okay, thanks, Blizzard. That's pretty much what they've done. I mean, look, they went back to the Scarlet Monastery and made a heroic version of it. Really? Because I didn't do the Scarlet Monastery enough when I was playing in Burning Crusade? Really? I have to do Scarlet Monastery again? Oh, and let's not forget, now we're going to also add achievements. So even if you've done them again and don't want to do them again, if you want to look good to other players, you need a high achievement score. So if you want your achievements to go up, guess what? Go into the instance again. Because you haven't done it quite enough times, we decided that, we'll make it heroic. And now they're making it mythic. And I'm wondering why. I think it's a lack of ideas. I think it has to do a little bit with the fact that the people at Blizzard, the people who made this game good back in the day, are no longer with Blizzard anymore. I don't know if a lot of people know that. Alright, so we've gone across Ferrolas, and we've taken a look at the map there, and I've bitched and kibitzed a little bit. Right now we're at the very edge of Ferrolas. This area used to be under, not under water, but used to be just flatland, leading out of the Thousand Needles, flatland with grass. So now we're into the Thousand Needles. Again, I've talked about this enough when I was going through this area questing. Obviously it's flooded, which it never used to be. It used to be the Grand Canyon. Does it look like the Grand Canyon to anybody? No, I didn't think so. So we're just going to zip up here, avoiding the instance that will obviously dismount me, because that's another lovely mechanic that Blizzard has added to the game. If you fly over an instance, you will get dismounted and unable to reclaim your body if you're flying too high and die. Therefore, you're going to be forced to have a large repair bill. Oh, and don't forget 10 minutes of res sickness. So for 10 minutes, you have to play with yourself while you're waiting for yourself to, be able to kill the smallest creature without, resorting to grappling with it hand to hand on the ground like an idiot. Camp Narachi. Now, this is the Tarren start zone. They've separated it now from the rest of Mulgore. It is now on its own, with a big, huge pit of water in it for no apparent reason. That is just an aesthetic choice because you can walk around it, as you can see, to access the Thorn area, which is where the final quests of the zone actually take you. So now it has a big pile of water, and you can't fish in it. There's no fish in the water. Why? Because the starting zone, you haven't got fishing yet, bitch, so don't even try and put your pole in the water. That's why. Alright, now we're flying into the rest of Mulgore. Here we go, we're changing the zone. I think we're into Mulgore proper now. There we go. The Venture Company mine has been built up a little bit more, not by much. The majority of this zone hasn't really changed, except now at Red Rocks there is actually a cairn to the King of the Tarren, who was murdered by Gromash, allowing the son of the king to now lead the Tarren in the Horde, under Vol'jin's command now that Gromash has gone off to Draenor. So, not much to say about this zone, which is why I'm saving it as a little clip here. Instead, we're going to fly over the wall and get into the Southern Barrens, and we're heading back down to the Thousand Needles and further south. La-di-da. You know, if I was on a carpet that was making me go up and down like that, I would need, like, safety reins or a belt or something. I don't know. I think I'd get seasick after about 10 minutes. Okay,
so first it's gravel.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's some kind of chair or harness or something that
Something.
needs to stay on the damn carpet instead of standing up like that, because that should just make me nervous.
I mean, let's be clear. I have the ability to make the level 700 carpet. I do not have my tailoring high enough to ride it, but I do have the ability to make it. Here, I'll prove that, just in case anybody's doubting me. This is an active character I am playing with.
Yeah.
Okay? There's the creeping carpet. Okay? But you have to have tailoring at 700 to use it. I'm at tailoring 674. I'm close, but I'm not quite there. And I'm making the hex weave with my work orders, no problem, and doing my stuff for my daily. That's not a problem. In fact, you can already see I've done my daily today. See? Cooldown reset daily. That's because I already did it. And that one too. You see? So I am doing my stuff to get that carpet. And maybe that carpet does have a seating location. All I'm saying is that if you were on this going up and down like that, you'd be vomiting too. That's all I have to say. Now, the Southern Barrens. Okay, obviously we're on the other side of the rip that Deathwing caused. Okay. Blackwing? Darkwing? Anyway, I can't remember who he is. Cataclysm wasn't the best expansion, let's be real. Okay? You can now, with heirlooms, go through the entirety of the Cataclysm leveling system in the course of one day by doing quests in either Hyjal or Vajir, underwater, and by supplementing that with looking for group instance work. I used the Death Knight, who had all his gear for level 90. He went through the Cataclysm entirety in the space of 6.5 hours. I'm not even kidding. That's not an expansion pack. It's not. It just isn't. It's a pretty thing to change the graphics on zones that you've already been through millions of times before. And here's a couple of instances, and 5 zones of which at most you will only do 2 and a chunk before capping. And if you're unfortunately in the game long enough before the next expansion of Pandaria comes out, then you can do all 5 zones, be really bored to tears, and sit there trying to grind raid crap which nobody really gives a damn about to kill Blackwing, going through the Firelands stuff, which is so boring. Not even one of my characters has completed it, though one of my characters has started it and fallen asleep to the point of detriment as a result. Okay. So, as I said, I have been through this zone already. I'm only going to be doing a quick flyover to Dustwallow Marsh before going to the Thousand Needles. The biggest change is, of course, the rip of the Barrens into 2 parts and this growth, which is extended down from these pools of water, the the Stagnant Oasis, I can't remember the name of the oasis outside the Wailing Caverns. It really doesn't matter, does it? So it's a larger overgrowth area, which I should be able to see when I put away the map. Other than that, the other really big changes are all the stuff down the rip, the Alliance on this side, the Horde on this side. They've tried to kind of replicate what they already had and didn't need to change back in Tarren Mill and Southshore. They've tried to replicate that idea here down this scar that they've put in. But frankly, it's forced real-world PvP. The other area was a lucky happenstance that was not planned by the developers of Warcraft. Or if it was planned by the developers at Blizzard, they hoped maybe it would catch on. What it became was a reason to hang out in that zone at level cap, and during Vanilla, and during Burning Crusade, and during Lich King. It became a reason to hang out in that zone way beyond the level that you needed to be hanging out in that zone at. Okay, as you can see here, with this character I have in fact revealed Alcaz Island. Meant to be Alcatraz Island, obviously, based on the name.
Yep.
It's never been used for any questing whatsoever. It might still be populated by elites, who knows or cares anymore at this point. The point is, the place is there and the place has never been used. Another great example of Blizzard not doing the things they could do to make the game still be fun for everybody. Blizzard favors the Horde side. I'm pretty sure. I know Metz favors the Horde side. Right? Metz he definitely favors the Horde side. That's clear. I think you're going to see that when the movie comes out too. But you know, I think they're just right now as a whole they're favoring noobs over long-time players.
Yeah, they are. They're
taking away the things that we remember as wonderful and replacing them for other people to remember them as average. Okay, obviously Theramore Isle here has gotten a lot bigger. It used to be a tiny little place that didn't used to have the docks. It's a scenario that you can do in Pandaria, but really, who does scenarios anymore? When it comes right down to it, does anybody do scenarios? I mean, really, does anybody do scenarios anymore? Now you can see a couple little interesting features here. You can see a sunken ship in the distance there. There it is. And you can see a dock here and a little tent. There's Nat. There's my boy Nat Pagel. And he still has the quest. Look at that. Whoops, what happened there? Okay. He still has the quest. Nat Pagel Extreme, Angular Extreme. This is your introduction to the now famous Nat Pagel. He is a necessary part of getting a really great mount in Pandaria. He's a necessary part of getting a really great, incredible mount, which is the Draenor version of the Pandarian mount, in your garrison in Pandaria. He is a neutral character that is supposed to teach you the second level of fishing, which is what this quest originally was. My mouse ever gets to it. There we go. This was originally... So you'd have to catch a special fish in the Swamposaurus, a special fish in Desolus, a special fish in Feralos, a special fish in Stranglethorn, and when you get them all done, you got his fishing pole, and you'd also get the ability to do the next level of fishing. I kid you not, this was how people used to play the game.
See you later.
People used to play the game and actually do work to obtain things. Elsewhere, we have the expansion of the Goblin area into Mudspocket. That's a town that came about, I believe, Burning Crusade, possibly Lich King, definitely before Cataclysm or Pandaria. And Onyxia, well, I've got an achievement that's related to Onyxia. Let's take a look at my achievements. Feats of Strength. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, is it not on this character? It should be across. Oh, maybe it's Legacy. Legacy. Where is it? Onyxia's Lair, level 60. Defeat the classic level 60 version of Onyxia. I did that back in 2009. Keep in mind, it's 2015 now. Weisenheimer. You see it's earned by Weisenheimer. Okay. Weisenheimer is Gutrend. Gutrend started off on the Kilrog server. I switched over to Agrimar when I felt that I needed a server to help me raid at a certain time zone. And Kilrogg was West Coast and Orgrimmar was East Coast. Now Orgrimmar has been combined with Fizzcrank and has moved to Central Time. Really helpful. So I'm not even on the right server right now to properly do raiding. And now, with my illness hampering me the way it is, I'm really not on the right server. I need to be on a European server in order for their nighttime to be my afternoon time, in order to actually do proper raiding at a time that's not going to harm me physically. That's neither here nor there. But Gutrend, I couldn't reuse the name. I originally wanted to stay on Kilrogg, so I had to make another character in order to take advantage of the boost that came with being in Pandaria. You were able to take a character and boost it up. And so what I did was I made Weisenheimer. I made him a warrior just like my main, Gutrend, and I put him on Orgrimmar. Then they started doing character realm transfers. This is the great thing about Warcraft, is they keep on making it so if you've done something already, it becomes useless after a while, because they make it so you could have not done that if you had just waited on it. And this is one of those. So now I was able...
That's why it's irritating.
Oh, it's so fucking irritating, because I made Weisenheimer, and no, I didn't know. I did not take advantage of the boost to 90. That was Pyrosia. The character I'm showing you right now took advantage of the boost to 90. Weisenheimer, I actually played from level 1 up, didn't I?
Yep.
I ground him up. I actually created a brand new warrior and played him up. Then they allowed for transfers cross realms, including that realm. I think transfer cross realm is now any realm. But they did that, and as a result I was able to bring Gutrend, my original Gutrend, over to this server. So I did. And in order to do that, I had to rename Gutrend on this server, so I renamed him Weisenheimer, because Weisenheimer sounds old, and that was my old version of Gutrend. So the achievements that I've obtained on this game, a lot of the old classic ones, a lot of the old ones that you don't see anymore, are obtained by Weisenheimer, even though it's not really true. Yellow Brewfeststein, Weisenheimer. Blue Brewfeststein, Weisenheimer. Seeing this? 4th anniversary, Weisenheimer. You know? Brewfast Mount, all characters are correct, yeah, but it was Weisenheimer. Iron Vanguard, that was Pyrosia, because she actually participated. 10th anniversary, Pyrosia. But you can see the old ones, and especially in Legacy, look at some of this stuff. Stone Guard, they don't even have that in the game anymore. Weisenheimer. 4 weapon skills to 400. Do people even know what raising weapon skills entail? Probably not, but Weisenheimer did it. Unarmed skill. If you had any idea what raising weapon skills required, think of what it took to raise your unarmed skill to 400. Weisenheimer. Are you seeing this? Kill Luke and get the title Jenkins, earned by Weisenheimer. Blackrock Spire Classic, the old version, Weisenheimer. You see what I'm saying? The old Warlock quest. I had a character named Healthbane. Okay, he doesn't even exist anymore. I don't even have him in the game anymore. Earned by Healthbane, he was a Warlock. He completed the original Warlock quest. I did not play a Paladin, because back in the day when I first made my original Paladin, the game sucked for Paladins. They weren't useful as tanks, they weren't useful as healers, and their DPS sucked. So, they weren't useful as a character. I learned that about 20 levels in with Timbuktu, which is why I stopped playing with Timbuktu, switched to Horde, created Gutrend, the original Gutrend, and still have that character to this day. Hakar, Weisenheimer. Stonekeeper Shards, Weisenheimer. You see what I'm saying? Win a brawl during the Pandaria campaign. That's earned by Gutrend, because by Pandaria I was playing on this server with Gutrend. Valor points, Gutrend. The Darkstone Revolution, you can see where things changed though, yeah? Anyway, okay, so we're back in the Thousand Needles, and obviously everything's flooded. Freewind Post used to be the place to be. I can't remember if the Alliance had a spot, because the speed barge is over the raceway. And the raceway was goblin based, and it was all obviously neutral, just like everything else that the the goblins have has always been neutral until they took a side. That brings us into Tanaris. We're getting close to being done, folks. 2 more zones after this, and I've already covered both of them. So this is not going to take long. Here we are at Gadgetzan. Now, again, I've mentioned this during the original 1 to 100 Hunter run as it went through vanilla, that the land originally went all the way out to here, and that this flooded chunk, is as a result of the Dragon Uprising. Everything else in this zone has pretty much stayed the same, although the Caverns of Time didn't exist back in the 60s. When I say back in the 60s, I mean vanilla. The Caverns of Time had an entrance and a giant elite dragon guarding it. I don't think the cave existed at all, but it was like a valley. There was a break. It was like a ringed valley. That was all, like a box canyon almost. Land's End Beach didn't have this way through it. The only way to get it was go all the way down here in the water by swimming, and then landing down here and finding all the turtles. It was deliberately an out-of-the-way spot for people who deliberately wanted to explore everything in the zone to find it. Now it's just another part of the, hey, if you want to get the achievement for revealing the zone, go down there. The Valley of the Watchers. This area is called Uldum, right here. This is considered being in Uldum. It was Uldum before Uldum existed. Now, Uldum's entrance is over here. How they call this the entrance to Uldum, there it is. Uldum goes over here and...
That was never open like that.
No, it wasn't. Of course not.
That was never open
This
like
was-
that.
of
We
course
had
not.
to go around this way.
No, you didn't go that way. Uldum doesn't exist. Uldum as a zone did not exist. It was there on the map, but you couldn't access it. There was no way in. Because you would drown trying to swim to it,
Yeah.
and there was no active way into it. It was just this big
Got
open...
fatigue and then
Neither of these zones existed originally. Neither of these zones. They were there on the map, but you couldn't access them. You had Ungoro Crater and you had Silthus. You couldn't get into down here at all. So yeah, this of course was closed. There was nothing to go to. A lot of quests that were in this area no longer exist in the game at all. They've been removed in preparation for people using that area to go into Uldum instead. So there's a caravan quest, and there's a couple of quests in that area that get you attached to the caravan, and then the caravan goes up the stairs without any input from the player and starts the Uldum quest line up here near Kartut's tomb, which is supposed to be King Tut's tomb, or Tutankhamun if you want, or if you want the typical poor pronunciation, Tutankhamun. And that starts off with your Harrison Jones character, and Harrison Jones, of course, is in the level 100 garrison, giving you quests in order to get him as a follower, kind of like Hogger, getting him to be a member of your garrison. Whereas Hogger is only going to be a toy, at least Harrison does something useful. Okay, here we are flying over Ungoro Crater. Again, I have done this recently. The Shaper's Terrace is a link between this zone and, let's find out what zone it is. Oops, I went the wrong way. If we want to take a look at the whole world, no, I think it's Azeroth, I think it's Northrend. Yes, it is. It's Solazar Basin. In Solazar Basin, the Skyreach Pillar, this area right down here actually takes you to Ungoro Crater. If you follow the quest line the right way. Actually takes you to Ungoro Crater. Up there on that ledge, that's way up here, for a quest or two, and then you pop back. Really exciting stuff, folks, let me tell you. Okay. On Ungoro Crater, the biggest change was moving the town from up here to down here, and adding a second flight path in the zone. That's the biggest changes that happen here. They've also nerfed the quest to go to the pillars. It used to be, I think, 50 crystals you need from each color, and there's only 3 colors. The 4th color, I think there might have been a pillar down here. They've removed it. I can't remember now. But that used to be a major undertaking in the Ungoro Crater. Now we're heading into Silthus. Now, Silthus, I deliberately only went into very slightly as my hunter because of all the zones that were not developed properly when WoW first released vanilla, this is the zone that still sucks the most. Okay? And that's saying a lot, because people hate certain zones of Cataclysm. people hate certain parts of Pandaria. But rest assured, nothing sucks more than the zone I'm currently in, Silphus. Okay? Nothing sucks more. And the reason why, I'm going to pull it up on the map, is Twilight Post, Twilight Base Camp, Twilight Outpost. These three areas make the zone suck. Those three areas alone. Like, I mean, I'm not even talking about the quests that take you and eventually get you into the temple down here. Ankarash, the Fallen Kingdom. I'm not even going to discuss that. I'm not going to talk about the hives and the frickin' killing of the insects. I'm telling you right now that the worst thing about this entire zone is the Twilight camps. And that's because anybody who's in this zone doing quests, anybody, Alliance or Horde, anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, anybody. Cenarian Hold is a neutral location. Alliance and Horde come in here and have the same flight path. The same single solitary flight path that hasn't changed since the game was level 60. And every single player, both Alliance and Horde, and keep in mind I'm really trying to stress that it doesn't matter which faction. In other words, if you've been having to compete with people for quest drops up till now, they've been Horde people, not Alliance as well. Now you're trying to do a whole zone, not just a few quests in Ungoro Crater, not just a few quests back in Teneris. No, I'm talking the entire zone is focused on going to these three camps and grinding out tens of items while competing against every single other player in the zone, both Horde or Alliance, at the same time. For virtually every meaningful storyline forwarding, get my level cap and get the hell out of vanilla quest. I'm not even kidding. It's so bad. It's so bad. It really is. This zone was never fully developed during vanilla. The big thing about the zone was this grind of collection, which I don't know why people even do it anymore. I don't know why people did it back in the day, but they were doing it to give themselves the advantage